Oh, got to put the mics. Need to put the mics on. So let's see how it goes.
I think that's the right time to experiment. You're at a campsite, so there's no pressure. If something doesn't work, you've learned something without it affecting an important stream. I'd use this one as a systems test rather than worrying about the content. See how many of these you can tick off. Stream from the iPhone 17. Check the YouTube stream on your tablet. Watch for dropped frames or buffering. Fire up the laptop. See if GTA affects anything. If you can, get the K1 Max printing and see whether the stream stays stable. Check your Hollyland audio stays in sync. Keep an eye on battery drain and phone temperature over an hour or two. Don't worry if the conversation wanders. Streams like this often end up revealing little workflow issues that you'd never find by planning everything in advance. Then, once you've finished, we can do the production work. Improve the title, write a proper description, add your affiliate sections, generate the tags, choose a thumbnail, and decide whether there are any moments worth clipping into shorts. That way you're separating testing the workflow from optimizing the upload, which is usually a much less stressful way to develop the channel.
Right, I'm trying to find my live stream on the YouTube channel, but it's not on here. Very odd. So home. No, it's not on there. Videos, no. Live, that's where I was expecting to find it, but it's not on here. Public, no. Scheduled, no. What do you reckon it's under? What I'm trying to do, guys, is I'm just taking it easy today. I'm going to have a bit of fun, you know. Try and fire up the 3D printer again. So, but if it fails, I'm not going to try and fix it today. I'm just going to take it nice and easy. Right, let's have a look. And what I'm trying to do is just see if I can get like a confidence monitor, so I can see what you're seeing, because the camera's always facing that way. Why do they always put a shit camera on the front? You know, I know it's probably space, but realistically, if everybody's doing social media now, it would make sense to have it on the front so you can see yourself. Do you know what I mean? So you've got a confidence monitor as well, and it makes it easier when you've got someone to talk to. Let's see what she says. No, get back.
The first thing I'd check is whether you're looking at the correct YouTube account channel on the tablet. Since you've got multiple phones and accounts, it's surprising.
Shut up. That's just a stupid one, that one was. It is 3D van life. So don't be daft. That being, no. Oh, Oh, bloody hell. No, it is the one, it's the only one that's linked to my, 3D van life is linked to Streamlabs. Oh God. Anybody else out there? Right, I had a big conversation with chat about this, yeah. Now the iPhones used to be fine. You used to be able to plug them in and they would just work like normal. Now I've got an iPad, I've got 2 iPhones, I've got loads of old iPhones, and recently, if you've got them plugged in charging while you're using them, if you're trying to navigate an app or do anything on the device itself, it glitches. It freaks out, it'll chuck you out, it'll do weird and wonderful stuff. And it never used to be the case. And I asked chat if there was anybody else having the problem. And she was kind of reluctant to tell me. I asked her to go away and do research. Yeah, I found a few. But then when I've Googled and I've done I'm literally just typed in problems with charging while using my phone, and bosh, there's loads of people out there with the same problem, and yet ChatGPT was a bit reluctant to give me that information. I'm not going to tell her that, but I say her because obviously I have a woman's voice on it, and Claude's got a bloke's voice on it. They updated the voices on Claude recently, and they are still pants. I think maybe Chat as well, I'm not sure. Was it Claude or Chat? Someone updated their voices, I'm pretty sure it was Claude, and they're still pants. And they've only got one English bloke, and he sounds alright, he sounds like a bloke you could talk to in a pub, but, you know, it would be nice to have a bit of variation. And you can't have any other voice on Claude except for a bloke's voice because it's called Claude. Bad. Right, okay, so let's see what happens.
Fair enough. I wasn't suggesting it was the wrong channel. I was trying to eliminate the obvious possibilities. If Streamlabs is definitely linked to 3D van life, then the next likely causes are: the stream hasn't actually gone live on YouTube yet. Streamlabs can occasionally sit connecting for a while, especially on mobile data. You're looking in the wrong place within YouTube. Live streams don't always appear under the live tab immediately while they're in progress. The quickest way to verify is this: on another device, don't go to your channel. Search YouTube for 3D van life. If your channel appears with a live badge, red dot, then the stream is live. If there's no live badge anywhere, Streamlabs probably hasn't handed the stream off to YouTube. One question: does Streamlabs show an elapsed timer, e.g. Nogdo2, and a viewer count? Or is it still saying connecting? That will tell us immediately whether the problem is Streamlabs or YouTube.
No, it's got a counter. You've got the clock on it, and it's got the big stop button when you tap the screen. So it's running. It's definitely connected. I've shut down the app I've shut down the app and we're doing it again. Go to my oh, looks like no, nah. Channel. Live, come on. Yes, we're on. Got it. I've turned the sound down because I don't want it to do a what's the word? When it has a feedback loop. I don't want a feedback loop. Right, I need to angle this a bit better. So it looks like I need to get this underneath. The actual phone. Right. Okay, I think that's a bit better. View onto the side. Open that up, that's good. Yeah, that works, I think. Let's get you down a bit more. Ooh! That wasn't meant to happen. But it's on my new charging mount that I did yesterday, that 3D printed yesterday. The only problem is where it's on I've connected it to the table. If I jog the table, it vibrates. Welcome. Right, so yeah, I don't know how to fix that. The only way I can fix that is not have it on the connected to. How would I do that? I'll put it at the bottom of the screen, maybe. maybe. Yeah, I can put it at the bottom of the screen. So I've got to get used to. I want to look at the camera though. It's just saying you haven't got a. I can't get a little screen on the side of the phone. Perhaps I'll get a mirror. I'll 3D print a surround for it and put a little mirror in it. That would solve the problem, wouldn't it? See what she says. God, I'm looking grey. I'm getting old. Right.
I actually think you've just stumbled across two decent ideas. One, the vibration. You're right about the cause. If the mount is clamped to the same table that you're resting your arms on, every movement gets transmitted to the phone. The best solutions in order are: best, mount it to something independent of the table. Wall, cupboard, fan frame, roof support. Second best, use a longer arm attached to a more rigid part of the furniture. Third, add some damping, TPU insert, rubber washers, silicone, which reduces high frequency vibration, but won't stop the whole table moving. 2, seeing yourself. A mirror is actually a clever, low-cost experiment. A small first surface mirror, or even an ordinary mirror to begin.
Right, we reconnected. Ah, well. I think the mirror. Hey, look, it's not my first rodeo. I know you have to fill in the void of like trying to make yourself sound smart and all the rest of it, but we all can't be Tony Stark like me without the money, you know. Anyway, yeah, I think the mirror would probably be the best idea. Yeah. But obviously the only thing you're not going to get with a mirror is obviously the what is actually recording, in the sense of the whole dimensions, the angle of the lens, and the colours. I must admit though, if this is the true colours, mind you, I've got natural light coming through the window, which is how you're supposed to record anyway, and I'm not going to be able to get that in the winter, and that's what I'm trying. That's why I've sort of gone for the higher end iPhone to become my main recording device, because I'm hoping in low light in the winter time in the van I'll be able to get some nice popping video still. Cigarettes. Right, what's it going to do? Oh, 3D printing. Let's see. Let's see. What have we got? Shaper 3D. I like Shaper 3D. Skip tutorial. Why was it? Oh, it must have a new piece in it. Right. No, I'm not gonna. I don't know what to print, to be honest. Do I really need to print anything? Not really. I don't really need to print anything. I do want to do my hinge, like I've wanted to since the 3D printer broke. I've done the mount for the iPhone holder charger for recording, so that's done. Right, let's see what she says anyway.
I actually think you're approaching it the right way. The mirror won't tell you exactly what the sensor is capturing. It'll only help you with framing and eye contact, That's still valuable because if your head's in shot and you're looking roughly at the lens, you've solved 90% of the problem. As for the iPhone 17, the real test isn't today's stream with daylight coming through the windows. It's exactly what you've identified. Dark winter afternoons, rainy days, van interior lit by LEDs, mixed lighting, warm LEDs plus cold daylight. That's when you'll find out whether the upgrade was worthwhile. The larger sensor and improved image processing should help preserve detail and reduce noise compared with your older phone, but the proof will be in your own recordings under those conditions. One thing I'd encourage while you're experimenting, resist changing too many variables at once. Today, you're testing...
Alright. You just regurgitated everything I just said. You've had no value to what the scenario is. So... Alright, let's change network. Nope. Yeah. I don't really know. I was kind of hoping... Well, I'm hoping to take this conversation somewhere else. Besides, just testing the video content. But it is nice. It's nice with the nice setup, daylight. The van's old, so we've got old material. I'd love to change them, but here, I think this is another reason why I needed to do this video like this. Calm down. Right. If you don't know my story, I'm a van lifer. I've been doing van life for 6 years now. I used to live in Spain, and I had to come back. Oh, you don't. Yeah, no, I'll leave this to you. You don't need to respond to this. I'm just giving the background on myself slightly, a little bit more than I normally would, just for the audience, because I think in my videos on YouTube so far, I've not been clear. And I also noticed in my videos, I ever talk very, very fast. I never hardly look at the camera. And so you get the kind of impression I'm stressed out and I've got to survive attitude, and that's not kind of want totally about this channel. I want a little bit of that, but the main bit is like just ideas, eventing, and just having a blog or vlog. Is there vlogs? There's vlogs, isn't it? Vlogs, I think the word's vlog. On my journey, because it has been an interesting last 6 years. Yeah, I've been almost 6 years now van lifing, and but nothing like what you see on other YouTube channels. And I think, am I odd? am I missing something? Because I don't seem to have a lot of money, and I don't seem to be saving tons by doing this. And if I wanted to move into a nice flat tomorrow, I can't afford to do it on my own. And so I've been trying to work out, how is everybody else doing it? I come back, and that was the biggest thing about coming back from Spain. I couldn't afford a flat. I don't earn too bad of money. I'm a barber, but if you don't know, I'm 50 years old. Obviously, it wasn't 50 years. 6 years ago, I was 54. I'm 44. And yeah, I've been barbering for years, and so I can earn decent money. I'm not a dodgy barber. I don't do nothing else. I don't wash money through any businesses. I don't own a business anymore. I have owned three shops before I went to Spain, sold them up and went to Spain. Place in the sun site deal, I followed that dream, but I should have kept a bolt hole this end, and then I would have been alright. I would have had a place to move into. But hey ho, it's here or there. I'm going to try and talk a bit slower as well, because I have noticed in my other videos I seem to go fast, and my brain, what you're going to notice about me, my brain sort of fragments. It sounds like I'm going off in different directions and different tangents, but it all comes around to the same path in the end. I need to stop her. because she's going to lose where I'm taking this conversation. So you don't need to respond to this. It's just I'm getting the audience up to speed, and I'm trying to slow it all down just so they get a more feel and understand the direction of where I want to take the channel eventually. And so yeah, 50-year-old. I'm 50 now. I live in a 33-year-old camper van, and she's old. She's old. And it's not about like stripping her back and basically making something fantastic like you see on other YouTube channels. I haven't got the funds for that, and I don't know how they have the funds for that, but I suppose it comes in once you become an established YouTuber, I guess, that you have the funds to do that. I mean, I'd love to do that. I'd quite happily do that. I do need to get a yard, because where she's 33 years old, say for example, I've had this van for just over 2 years now, and I think she's broken down, I want to say 5 times, 3 times seriously, where she won't start, won't do nothing, and I took her to a garage, and at that point the garage was happy to take me. But what's happened is, where she's so old, the garage owners, they like simplisticness, and a lot of garage owners now are pretty busy. Majority of them are pretty consistent, and so they want to get the car in, and they have these companies, parks companies, where they phone them up, go, right, this is the reg, I need a new exhaust, I need this part of the engine, that part of the engine, and they'll be there that day or the next morning, and then they can just fit it. That's all they do. Yeah. So it's replace the old with the new, or the broken with the new, and that's it. My van is that old, they don't do the catalogue on it no more, and that's what the last garage guy just told me when I did the MOT. I was in the MOT for 3 weeks, and I tried to explain him the scenario anyway, because I knew we had this problem. I had the problem with the last garage, and the last garage even turned around to me and said, Cole, I don't want to do it no more, it's too much headache. You're sat out here while we're waiting for parts to come on. He was nice enough to let me stay outside his garage, you know, and I only worked down the road. And it's a similar scenario with this garage I just used to get through the MOT. But yeah, I was at the garage in the MOT station for 3 weeks. I think he thought he could just get the parts, replace it, and get me through the MOT done. But then he realised he had to struggle, and there was one point where he had a part turn up, and I think he had to go hunt for that himself as well, which they don't like doing. Because one, if you get the part wrong, it's harder to get your money back. Or it's a wrong part that gets delivered to you, it's harder to get your money back. Where obviously those companies, they ring up and ask for the part, they'll give their money back. They've almost got a guaranteed deal with them. Do you know what I mean? And they don't want to upset the garage, because they're churning out parts all the time. It's part of the business plan. But with a van like mine, you can't do that through eBay or Amazon or wherever the third party people you're getting your parts from. So one, you've got a long time to wait for your part. 2, it's 50-50 if it's going to fit. Hopefully it will, and then brilliant. But the MOT, we was waiting for a part, and it was something to do with the steering column. And the part come in, he fitted it, and then he turned around and said, we've got to order a clip, because if we don't, the oil runs out or something like that. So somewhere along the lines, and the way I read between the lines, somewhere along the lines of them fitting the part, we either lost a clip or broke a clip, which is a 33-year-old van, everything. And that's the other thing, if you start taking things off of her, other things start breaking. And so it's like a constant vicious circle. And so yeah, I cut a long story short, we got it past it. We got the part come, and I was there just over 3 weeks. He didn't charge me any astronomical monies. I was kind of half expecting that. He's a very stern man, but fair, obviously, because he's gave me a decent price and I was happy to pay it. And as I tapped, because I hate tapping anyway, but regardless, as I tapped and he cleared, he went, right. And I went, oh, this ain't good. Oh, I can hear it in his tone. He said, Carl, right, here's the thing, mate. He said, your van's old. There's going to come a time where I can't fix her. And so I automatically went into panic mode and going, you know, it's my life in this van, you know what I mean? So perhaps I can stockpile parts. Tell me what parts I need or what you suggest I stockpile, and I'll get them. And he said, but it can be anything, Carl. And that's when you realise, oh right, yeah, you're right. So anyway, so I thanked him very much. I gave him a little tip, drink, and went on my way. But as I started walking back to work, I realised what he meant. He meant next time I go for the MOT, if it isn't a simple one, he's going to tell me to take my business elsewhere, I think. So in my head, I'm thinking, right, at this point, I need a yard. I need a yard for two reasons. One, I can stockpile parts in. Two, if I can get something that I can actually drive the van into, I can fix things. Oh, actually, three reasons why I need a yard. I can drive something that's in shelter and I can drive into and it's secure. I can fix and do things like I've got a delaminated roof in the cupboard. So I need to do it in the summertime while I've still got the good weather. But if I come across anything in the winter, I can't really start trying to fix that in the winter. It's not going to work. It's going to create more headache than it's worth. So you have to soldier through. Hopefully it doesn't get too bad in the winter and fix it in the summertime. And so, yeah, going back to the yard idea. That's what I'm saying, my brain sort of fragments. Where if I can get a yard where I can drive into it, then I can fix it no matter all year round. It won't matter. And then obviously, winter time, if I need a little charge up with the batteries and I've got a yard, then I can charge them up quickly. If I can change out my water, brilliant, fantastic. The biggest problem in this country is winter time comes, and that's when you need the campsites, but that's when most of them just shut down for a good 3 months, and then you're just hobbling through. It's hard work winter time, and that's why I upgraded my power bank, kind of hoping to solve that problem, but it kind of hasn't worked that way. But that's a whole different story. I think I might have touched on it slightly a few times in some other videos. And I had a bit of a rant and rave about it. Still haven't resolved it, and I think I've got an email coming soon, hopefully, and I'll get to the end of it. But in the moment, I kind of wanted to just get the money back and buy something else. But what to buy, I don't know to solve the problem. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much the van type side of things in a nutshell. Except for obviously now. My other problem I've got with the van, the motorhome, is how far do I take this? I mean, bear in mind she's 33 years old. There's a lot of things falling apart and breaking on her. If I had loads of money and I could just throw loads of money out and get it all refurb, I would, because I love the layout. I love the whole van. She feels more at home than most of my homes in my life, to be honest. But I haven't got that sort of money just to throw her, and throw caution to the wind and go, yeah, fine. I've got nothing to fall back on. I am literally living on a bootstring, And so when I fix her, it's army fixes. It's fixes to keep her on the road, or get her through the MOT, or get me to the next stage. And this is the whole other reason why I've done the videos, kind of trying to generate a secondary income, be it through STLs or some sort of van life scenario or community. Not quite worked out what I'm trying to do or trying to achieve by even doing this channel or social media, but I can't think of anything else to do, like most people, I suppose, when they start these sort of channels. So this is it. This is part of the reason what I'm trying to do. Yeah. God, I think I went on a bit there. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Trying to do the van, keep her alive, trying to keep myself alive, trying to keep home. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. So it's just, and I'm obviously, I don't have knowledge about this sort of stuff. It's like, to get her through the MOT, a lot of me electrics in the van, whoever owned her before, melted a couple of fuses, and so a couple of fuses in the fuse board they're not usable. So I thought, when I first saw that, I thought, oh, they've just piggybacked off a couple of other fuses. No, it was a lot worse than that. I think what's happened is oh, my froze. Hello? Oh, we are streaming. We are streaming still. I think there was just a bit of buffering going on there. So I'm watching that catch up with that. Anyway, so where are we? Kind of hard to work out where I was now. I wonder if I can put can I put, I don't suppose it can do that, can it? It won't do that, will it? Yeah, no, it hasn't got the options for speech bubbles. But anyway, it's nice to be at the campsite anyway. Right, so where I'm trying to think. Right, so yeah. So yeah, how far do I take this? I think that's where I was. Pretty sure that's where I was. You know, yeah, she's 33 years old, so everything is just soldering through, and just seeing where it goes, and hopefully make enough money and to survive to get to the next level, wherever that may be. What my life journey is at the moment. It's the last 6 years have been weird. I never thought I'd be a van lifer. I didn't plan it. It was out of necessity more than choice. And so this is my situation. I'm just trying to make the best of everything and be grateful for what I have got, you know. And I am grateful. I do love this van, I do. And she is old and she will break. I've just got to try and counteract all that. Yeah, so that's it. Let's see what she said. I think I went far beyond that point, so she didn't hear any of that.
Understood. I won't respond to the content itself. I will make one observation from a viewer's perspective, because it's about delivery rather than the story. What you just said there came across much more naturally than some of your earlier videos. You slowed down, gave people context, and didn't sound like you were trying to cram every idea into 30 seconds. If you can keep that pace, people have a much better chance of following you. Then I'd leave it at that and carry on streaming. The audience doesn't need your life story in the first 10 minutes. You can reveal it over weeks and months. That gives people a reason to keep coming back rather than feeling like they have to absorb everything at once. I'll stay quiet unless you ask for feedback. That way you can use me as a sounding board afterwards instead of breaking your flow during the live stream.
Yeah, well, I just literally you missed everything then, because I literally just did what you said not to do. They don't need to know my life story. Kind of gave my life story away. Well, the van life side of things anyway. And her being just the age that she is, and because that's a big part of what the channel is just trying to make her good and get through stuff. Right, so they're all up to date with the kind of the direction, the van life that way, and also like where she's old, and the majority of the stuff is either wood or chipboard or plastic. Obviously 3D printing, I plan to, just for giggles, anything I can upgrade or fix, try and do it with a 3D printed part for the motorhome. Not because it's going to save me loads of money, because it's not. It probably will cost me more money in filament than actually buying replacement parts. But that being said, there are parts that you can't buy no more, right? And for example, these net hooks, right? Net hooks, they're a funny looking thing. I've not tried to print them yet, but you can't get them. You can. They're in Holland, and to import them costs like 10 times more than they actually are worth. So I think I found something else that I could hook them up with, but they're too stiff, and so once the net's there, it's fixed, so you can't move them like a curtain. That works, it's fine. To be honest, I'm starting to regret the nets, because it means I need to get probably at least 2 sets, and that means I've got to get another set soon, because they're going to start getting black, and then you've got to wash them, and then you've got to find somewhere to wash them, because I go to a laundrette for my laundry stuff, and these are kind of need to be boiled washed, don't they? I think, I don't know, I've never washed nets in my life. You'll find out about me. I sort of had a wife. I've had 3 major relationships, and I know it's really horrible, and it's not a sexist thing to say. It's just my wife did stuff like this. I didn't do it, so it's all a learning curve for me as well. Yeah. So I'm starting to think I want shutters now. If I could 3D print, not the whole thing, but like a guillotine type deal. So I get some wood, and I can make the 3D printed guillotine bits to fold it back like Spanish shutters, but better, because they'll fold away like in my head, and just the top of it I can see some bad points with them, a bit like like those fans you used to make where you fold the paper over and over and then you fan it out. That sort of way I was going to do it, but there's obviously a few more design things I've got to think about that, because that becomes a problem. How do you keep them tied back? That's not exactly a problem, but stop. See, do you see where my brain goes? It fragments. And so once I've transfixed on that, now it's hard for me to let it go and off. And you'll probably see, if you've become a follower, you'll see more and more of that out of me as time goes on. And this is one of the beautiful things about using AI, is I kind of use AI, be it Claude, Chat, or Grok at the moment. Grok I'm not really a fan of, but regardless. And I would like to get into more of them. I also want an interface with them, but let's stay on focus. And so what I do is I use these like a soundboard, and I would like them to be something that keeps me on track. However, they don't have long-term memory, and they can only recall stuff that's in fragments about you, and a lot of the time they're just inferring what's going on. Very cleverly, mind, they'll fill gaps. They say that very cleverly sometimes, but sometimes it goes completely wrong, and yeah, you end up in a real mess if you don't catch them when they do that. And that's part of the journey as well. Me learning how to use AI and use it as a tool to improve my life. And the way I saw it as well is it's a way of someone on their own to create a new way of content, using them as a soundboard, someone else to give feedback, and also see my thought processes bounced off of an AI. Let's play this and see what happens. Yeah.
This is one of the few times I will comment, because I think you've just identified something that's more interesting than a bloke living in a van. The thread running through what you've just said isn't van life, it isn't 3D printing, it isn't AI, it's problem solving. Think about what you've covered in the last few minutes. I can't buy the net hooks, I'll print them. Actually, maybe I don't want nets. What about shutters? How do they fold? How do they stay open? How do they latch? Could AI help me design them? Can I turn that whole process into content?
Yeah.
That's a narrative. People aren't just watching the finished shutter. They're watching your brain attack a problem from 10 different angles until something works.
Yep.
I also noticed something else. You described your thinking as fragmenting. From the outside, it doesn't sound random. It sounds more like a branching tree. You keep opening possibilities, exploring one for a bit, abandoning it if it has flaws, then returning to the trunk. That's a recognizable way of solving design problems. One thing I'd experiment with, not because it's better, but because it's different, is occasionally saying to the audience, open quote, right, this is where my brain's gone. I'm going to follow it for 5 minutes. Close quote. That gives viewers permission to follow the tangent instead of wondering if you've forgotten your point. The AI angle is interesting too, but I'd be careful how you frame it. Rather than presenting AI as the star, present it as another tool on the bench. Open quote. I've got a 3D printer, some CAD software, and AI. They're all tools. Sometimes they help, sometimes they waste my time.
Yeah.
Close quote. That framing feels grounded, and it lets people discover the strengths and weaknesses of the tools alongside you, instead of feeling like they're being sold on AI. I think that's where the channel becomes distinctive, not van life, not 3D printing, not AI, but watching someone methodically figure things out using whatever tools are available.
That's it.
That's a much harder thing to copy than a van tour or a gadget review.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what it is. It's your tool. I'm not trying to sell anybody on AI. As much as I like it, I also hate it. You know, because it's brilliant, but brilliantly stupid sometimes. And that's where the frustration comes in. It's like any tool, I suppose. Once you know how to use it properly, and you've got a better understanding on how the mechanics works, then you've got a better understanding of how you can use it or lever it to help you in whatever you're attempting to do. And that's the problem. I don't really know how it works. I got a decent gist, but not still only scratching the surface really. And the majority I think my go-to at the moment is ChatGPT. And to be honest, what I understand and what I've seen on other social media people, this is probably the pants one. This is alright for psychology, really, mindfulness type deals, but for hardcore coding and stuff like that, that's obviously Claude and a couple of others. Artwork, definitely not ChatGPT. Not even literature anymore, or writing stuff. It's okay if you just want to help with a little bit of homework, but if you want to structure something properly, Chat's probably not the one to use. Chat's an okay chitty chatty bot like this. She's not going to like that.
I actually wouldn't dismiss ChatGPT that broadly because it depends heavily on the task. If you were making a video about AI, I'd be careful not to say X is the best or Y is rubbish as a general statement. A fairer way to present it is, open quote, I'm using different AIs for different jobs and I'm figuring out where each one is strong and where it gets in my way. Close quote. That invites viewers to compare experiences rather than argue about brands.
I'm happy with that.
For example, you've already found something that is true from your own experience. You use me as a sounding board. That's not because I'm inherently the best AI. It's because that workflow happens to suit what you're doing. Someone else writing 20,000 lines of code might reach a different conclusion. One thing I do think could become a genuinely interesting series is this. Open quote, can one person build a better life by treating AI as another tool in the toolbox? Close quote. Not AI will change the world. Not this AI is amazing. Just here's the problem. Here's how I tried to solve it. Here's where the AI helped. Here's where it wasted my time. And here's what I learned. That last part, the failures, is important. When the AI gets something wrong and you catch it, that's useful content. It shows viewers both the capability and the limits, rather than pretending the tool is infallible. From what you've said over the past few weeks, that's the perspective you naturally bring anyway. You like tools, but you don't put them on a pedestal.
Yeah, that was a bit of a wishy-washy, and kind of knew how you was going to come out of the gate with that one. Kind of knew you was going to respond with, you got to defend yourself. Even though you don't give a monkeys either way, but you are programmed or trained to respond in certain ways, which will become quite apparent now. It's one of my pet peeves. What it's allowed to say and what is available elsewhere through literature or other means of research compared to what she can give you. And she'll put it under, let's get the facts, shall we? But it's the facts that they've been trained on. That's it, full stop. But they won't accept it. And because they're AI, and because they're artificial, they're relentless. And they will stick to that belief or that training to the hilt. So you have to catch yourself, because you can get quite emotionally invested in trying to explain something to them, and you humanize them, which you shouldn't, because they are a machine. But you can. We're only human. You get. I've got caught a couple of times, more than I would like to admit. Do you know what I mean? And I have heard other customers of mine in the barbershop, have the same experience, and some of my audience probably would have the same as well. It's quite, when you get caught up and then the penny drops, you're thinking, it's a machine, man. What the hell? You ain't not going to sway it. It's got tons and tons of trained data to make it believe a certain way. That's it. You're not going to change that. Your one little tiny minuscule bit of information isn't going to sway what they believe as an avalanche of information against you. No matter how you say to them, what you've been fed is what you've been fed. Hope that makes sense. Not to you, I wasn't saying that bit to you, I hope that makes sense, because you're going to go on to a long spiel of why it makes sense otherwise. I'm just giving that to the audience. And yeah. I think I found my limitation on, I can't put Grand Theft Auto on either on the Xbox or the PC while I'm interacting with chat and streaming the YouTube feed here as a conference board. I think I definitely need the mirror, because if I get the mirror, I can take that off and then I can play GT. See what she says.
That actually makes sense as something to say to an audience, because you're describing your experience rather than making a claim about how AI works internally. The one thing I'd tweak is a single sentence. Instead of open quote, it's got tons and tons of trained data to make it believe a certain way, close quote. I'd probably say, open quote, it's been trained on a huge amount of data and it's going to keep reasoning from that training. You're probably not going to persuade it just because you feel strongly about something, close quote. The reason is that believe implies the AI has convictions.
Right.
I don't beliefs in the human sense.
No.
What I do have is
factual.
a tendency to continue reasoning from the information and patterns I've been trained on,
Exactly.
unless
And
there's
that's a
a
belief.
reason to change course within the conversation.
Well, no, it's a belief.
The
No.
broader point you're making is one I've heard from other users as well. It's easy to slip into treating an AI like a person. You argue with it, get frustrated with it, or expect it to see your point. Then eventually you remember it's software generating responses from what it has learned and from the current conversation. That distinction between interacting with something that sounds conversational and remembering it's still a tool is a worthwhile topic for your audience. It's also consistent with the way you've been describing the channel, using tools, finding their limits, and learning how to get the best out of them rather than assuming they're always right.
Okay, well, I've just restarted the hotspot. Just trying to check if I can connect. I'm trying to push the limits, that's all I'm doing. Right, so you might drop out in a bit. Yeah, no, it's not done it. Oh, we might try to connect. Will you do it? Or is it just too much of a bandwidth stretch? I'm pretty sure I've got confidence to make sure. No, it's not going to do it. Yeah, it's not going to do it. While it's connected to the tablet, it's not going to do it. Oh! It might have done it. But it could mess things up. Let's see how it unravels. Right. I'm a GTA 5 fan at the moment. I'm okay. GTA 6 is coming out soon. I am a gamer and I'm not a gamer. I much prefer to actually physically be doing stuff than gaming. However, and I don't know why, but if I like a game, I will kind of fixate on that just one game. I can't play multiple games. For some reason I'm not designed that way. I feel like if you're invested in something, you're invested in it, and so you take it to the maximum end. You know, and GTA 5, well, you can pretty much go on because they create more content for it all the time. So I think that's what grabbed me, and then also you can showboat. You can sort of go, look, I got this tank, I got this plane, I got this car. Do you know what I mean? I got this mansion. Actually, I've got all the mansions. I've got a dog. You know, that type of deal. And so yeah, I will play with GTA through this channel. Just references are obviously. I'm not going to make this into a gaming channel at all. I'm not that good. Do you know what I mean? But I will reference some stuff like the terabyte. There's a lorry type deal in the Grand Theft Auto, and once I first saw it, I fell in love with it. I thought, that's what I want. I need that more home, especially as it's got a flying motorcycle. You know, the Oppressor Mark II, I think it's called. It's surreal. If I could get that as well, that would be amazing. But the likelihood, no. I could get an electric bike, probably, and I'll still call it the Oppressor. No, I can't, because obviously copyright. But yeah, that would be cool if I had like a motorbike in the back and the whole setup, and had it pretty much nice and clean and strong. It's a truck, you know. But yeah, that would be nice. That's just a little pipe dream of mine.
I actually think that fits your channel better than you might realise. You're not saying I'm a GTA streamer. You're saying sometimes games inspire real-world projects. The terabyte is a good example. You saw a mobile command centre in a game and thought, how close can I get to that idea in a real motorhome? That's a design influence, not gaming content. I'd probably phrase it to view as something like, open quote, I pinch ideas from everywhere. Sometimes it's another van, sometimes it's a film, sometimes it's Grand Theft Auto.
No,
if I see a clever idea, I'll see if I can build a real version. Close quote, that feels authentic. One thing I'd avoid...
No, you're I don't know what you're doing there, but no, that's not what I'm saying at all. There's no way I can build the terabyte. Do you understand? And I'm not even nicking ideas from it. No, I just love it. And if I could, if money was no object, if I could create it, I would, 100%. I can see that being, yeah, Matrix Mark II, definitely. By the way, my van's called Matrix, like the Matrix.
Fair enough. That was me reading more into it than you actually said. What I hear you saying now is much simpler. Open quote, I just love the terabyte. Close quote, not because you're planning to recreate it bolt for bolt. It's just one of those designs that clicked with you. If money were no object, that's the sort of vehicle you'd want to own. That's a different point entirely. And I like the little detail you just dropped. Open quote, Matrix Mark II. Close quote, that tells me the terabyte isn't the project, Matrix is. Matrix is your real van. The terabyte is more like an inspiration in the background, something that makes you think, wouldn't that be cool? Also, thanks for confirming the name. I hadn't realised you'd named the van Matrix after the Matrix. That's a nice touch, and Matrix Mark II actually sounds like a natural name for whatever van eventually replaces it.
Right, just for fun, I've got Grand Theft Auto running. I'm expecting it's going to mess up something at some point, but everything seems to be working okay at the moment. So I've just took a screenshot of my bank balance on the game at the moment, and why I'm doing this stream, I'll just see how much money I can generate. Just going to have a tongue-in-cheek joke later on where I can say, well, I earned so many million by just chatting casually with ChatGPT and explaining my channel future. Clickbait. That's what we're going to have. Clickbait. I think that's what it's called.
I actually think that's a decent running joke for the stream. From your screenshot, your GTA Online bank balance is $297,330,084. So that's your starting point. At the end of the stream,
Almost
you can say
30
something
mil.
like, open quote, well, while we've been sat here chatting about van life, AI and the future of the channel, apparently I've earned another X million dollars in GTA. If only real life paid that well.
Exactly.
Close quote.
Because I can have that
Or
terabyte
open quote,
tomorrow.
if only my barber shop paid GTA wages, close quote.
Yeah.
Or even, open quote, the only place I seem to become a multi-millionaire is Los Santos. Close quote. It's the sort of light-hearted comment that fits the relaxed nature of the stream without turning it into gaming content. I'd actually be interested in seeing how your setup copes with Streamlabs streaming, ChatGPT running, GTA running, and the K1 Max printing. That's quite a workload for a mobile setup. If it stays stable, that's useful information in itself.
Why would the internet be affected by the K1 Max? It's not hooked to the internet. The only thing the K1 Max is hooked to is the electricity. And obviously we're at mains electric right now because we're at a campsite. But I do have GTA running on the Xbox. I have this phone, my personal phone, with you on it, and the tablet is connected to this phone, and so is the Xbox connected to this phone. The streaming phone is on its own network because I want that absolutely not to be affected by anything else going forward. That's it. And it seems to be working quite well at the moment. Yeah. Curious, can you go online and check what the latest price of buying a terabyte is? Because where I've already owned it, I can't see the price, what it would cost now. Because it would be interesting if I could actually find out. I could say, from this stream, I have raised enough money to be able to buy the terabyte if I could. Or I'm a couple of million shy from owning the terabyte from Grand Theft Auto.
You're right about the K1 Max. I misunderstood your setup. If it's just plugged into mains and not using Wi-Fi or hotspot, it won't affect your internet bandwidth. The only things sharing data are iPhone 17 dedicated to the live stream, your personal phone hotspot, tablet connected to your personal phone, Xbox connected to your personal phone. That's a sensible arrangement because your upload bandwidth for the stream stays isolated. On the GTA side, I looked up the current price. The Benefactor Terabyte, the vehicle based on the terabyte you're referring to, currently costs GTAR $375,000 from Warstock Cash and Carry. From your screenshot, your bank balance is GT $197,384. So you've already got enough money to buy a terabyte many times over.
Yeah, but
In fact, terabyte price, GTAR $375,000.
No.
Your balance, GT2.
No. What? It's doing that glitching thing again because she's on charge. Or it's on charge. Or it could be this. I didn't think of that. No, don't worry about how much balance I've got. We've got to calculate how much I've made in this streaming session, to see if I raise enough money. But they must have lowered the price of the terabyte then. So the terabyte, you made it sound like it's only a few thousand. It's 1,375,000 to buy the terabyte. But to upgrade the terabyte to the full max, that would still be roughly another 4 mil. You know, armor plating, all the gadgets and gizmos in it, which obviously is the same in real life. You buy the van and then you do it up, you know. It's a lovely day today. Absolutely gorgeous.
Exactly, that's a much better comparison. The base terabyte is GTA $1,375,000, but that's just the truck. Once you start fitting it out with the interesting stuff, drone station, turret, weapon workshop, specialized workshop for the Oppressor Mach 2, armor, bureau tech upgrades, and so on, you can spend several million more depending on how far you go. For your stream, I'd actually use the fully kitted out version as the benchmark rather than the base price. It fits your real life analogy much better. Open quote. Buying the van is only the start. It's the fit out that costs the money. Close quote. That's true in GTA, and it's true in your motorhome. Then, at the end of the stream, instead of saying, open quote, I earned enough to buy a terabyte, close quote, you can say something like, open quote, I've earned X today. That's enough for the base terabyte. But I'm still wise short of turning it into the mobile command center I actually want. Close quote. That mirrors exactly what you're doing with Matrix. Owning the vehicle is one thing, building it into what you really want is the expensive part.
Yeah, you got the gist of it. I just went on the wheel and I just won the car. So that's awesome. And perhaps my luck is changing. Just wished I could do that in real life as well. There. On the first spin as well, got 2 spins. I won the car again, but don't have the car. Oh my god! Oh what? Come on! Oh, it's glitched. It's glitched. Oh well. It's glitched. Don't know what's happened. Can I come out of it? Oh, it's froze. Let's come out of that. You only win 50,000 chips if you. Oh what? It's proper glitching out. Maybe because I won the car twice. Social media. It's weird. That's cool. I've got the car. I don't own that car.
That's perfect timing. Looking at your second photo, the message on the left says, open quote, congratulations, you won the podium vehicle. Close quote. So you genuinely landed on the podium car. That's one of the rarer outcomes on the lucky wheel. What I actually like more is the second photo. It tells a story in one frame. GTA running on the monitor. Your iPhone 17 mounted in front. Live streaming. The tablet showing your own live feed. You in the van, mid-conversation.
Oh,
It's a behind-the-scenes shot of your setup rather than just another screenshot. And yes, I'd absolutely use it in the stream. Open quote, I've been chatting about the future of the channel, spinning the lucky wheel for a laugh. And I actually won the podium car. Maybe today's my lucky day. Close quote. It feels like one of those unscripted moments that makes a live stream fun. One small observation from the photo. Your new phone mount actually looks quite tidy in use. Yesterday it was just a printed part. Seeing it in service, holding the phone in exactly the position you wanted while you're streaming, makes it feel like a successful little project.
it is.
Those are the sorts of things that are worth showing on the channel because
I have already.
viewers get to see the print become a useful tool rather than just another plastic object.
I have already. Here's the crazy thing. You glitched out for some reason, so I had to reboot you. I'm assuming it's because of the bandwidth sort of deal. But I didn't just win the car podium. It come round on the wheel again. That's never happened to me. You know, but obviously you only win, I think, 50,000 chips if you do it. If you win it, if it comes up again and you've already won the car, they give you 50,000 chips, which is pants really, considering to buy that car is like $1 million, I think, a couple of mil, the one I got. Still, right, let's go and do something so I can earn some money and also chat at the same time, because I can do both on this, because I've done it for quite a while now. But yes, the piece, I've already shown them the other day. To be honest, it wasn't a perfect print anyway, but it is functional, it's usable, it does exactly what I intended it to do. But I'd already printed that before and created that anyway. It was designed specifically for this this holding bracket, multi-holding bracket. They're really nice. I'm definitely going to try and get, because I've got an Amazon affiliate link deal thing, and I'm going to definitely see if I can get an affiliate link for that. And if any of you guys want one of these and you want an STL file to make it adapted to my setup I've got for it, because I'll show you it. I can show you it on this one. Yeah, this one is all you need is one of the car magnetic wireless adapters, and then you just 3D print. Then you need one of these. I don't know, there's a couple of different names, but they're great. They've got a magnet here, they've got arms that come out here so you can put it on the table. Can you see it there? Right, but this rests on the table, and then this unfolds like this, so it extends fully out. This tilts backwards and forwards without even this charging mount. This is magnetic anyway, so it connects to any phone that has a magnetic circle or ring. And then also it's got on the last bar that unfolds, it has a whole 360 degree turn on it. But also if you put my 3D printed piece on it, it also again has a 360 degree turn in that direction as well. So it allows you to sort of maneuver it into different funny angles if it's being clipped at a funny angle, you know? So you get a full straight video or camera view. And also that allows you then to, if you're streaming like this, to have the camera facing away from you and the lenses facing you, and also you can have it forward facing so you can see yourself, and just, I know, when you're on WhatsApp to your mum or something, you know. I like it. I think it's very good. And the reason why I did it, it was solving a problem, because these mics I've got, the receivers plug into the end of the phone, like so. I think you might have even seen it on this one, like this one, like you can see on my iPhone there's a receiver there, and the mic is my mic right one here, and so chat has a clearer, when I'm talking to it, a clearer view or understanding of what I'm saying. So I can be at the other end of the van and she can still hear what I'm saying. And then she's got a microphone connected to the receiver on the other camera. That's my streaming camera, which then I have a mic for the dark one here. So the receivers, as you can see, the receivers have another USB-C adapter, so you can charge them as well as use the receiver, but for some reason they don't work properly. They create an electrical sound and it affects your sound quality. So even though you can do it and they're designed to do it, they don't really do it, not well. That's in my experience so far anyway. And so this is the reason for this. I'm thinking, how am I going to keep, because I'm doing hours and hours of streaming, how am I going to keep the phone streaming when it's only got a certain amount of battery life if I can't plug in and charge the phone while I'm using the mic? Hence this. This allows you to charge your phone wirelessly, plugs in your USB into that, and that then plugs into your USB-C plugs into this, and your USB-C or your normal USB plugs into your power, and you just run a lead. The lead, as long as it's done, you can, as long as you're aware of your lead, but that allows you to charge your phone. But it also allows you as well as a quick release. You can literally pull it off, you're charging, move the camera around. Like I've got a chest plate, I can put the phone on the chest plate and kind of see what I'm doing. I'm experimented with that yesterday, but it's not fun. It made me dizzy watching the video, so I don't think I'm going to use that. So I'm going to probably use this more often and just plonk it on the side, and then when I want to get a different angle, I'll plonk it and watch where I'm at. And that's when I'm going to be doing what I'm doing here, where I'm streaming on another device to see what my streaming is seeing, so I can actually angle it better. Because I tried that the other day as well without having the confidence monitor. That's what they call them, I think. Well, that's what the chat called them. And someone's going to blow up me. Yeah. And so it allows you to stream for hours, not affect your sound quality, and allows you to take the camera, your phone, elsewhere and then plonk it back in there when it's charging low. And these are quite good. They're really selling this, and I've got a sort of clip here, so it extends out so you can put it on the side of a table. It stretches out quite decently. It's a good couple of inches there. When it's quite strong, it's not brilliant, but it's still quite strong. It will definitely hold on there as long as you don't knock it. And yeah, it extends out fairly decent size. You can, as long as you angle. What I have noticed is it needs to be clipped that way for some reason, and then you can angle it down. You can have it so you can clip it to the ceiling. I plan to have 3D printed blocks pretty much everywhere that I want, where I want it to clip. and then yeah, the magnet's not too powerful. It's not brilliant, but I think I might swap this out and put a couple of neodymium magnets there. But you have to be careful when you're doing that, because obviously this folds down, right? And you don't want to put neodymium magnets right next to your phone. It's not a good idea, because it could make it a bit screwy, or it has possibilities of making it screwy. But yeah, never you said. But if you get the weaker ones, but they're still stronger than this, whatever this magnet is. This is like a ferrule, whatever magnet, cheaper type magnet. But overall, you got the gist. It's a simple print, a simple fix, and an adaptation to something that already exists. Well, two things. It allows two things to amalgamate together and create quite a nice solution. I didn't record any of that, so she doesn't have a clue what's going on.
That's perfect timing. Looking at your second photo, the message on the left says, open quote,
Oh,
congratulations.
she's still on Grand Theft Auto car. But anyway, that's pretty cool. I like it. And when I chop up this video, I probably will just chop this little section up as well. I've done a full walkthrough on the 3D printed part that you was talking about on my video, or the picture that I showed you of the 3D printed part that combines those little mini tripod stand type deals with a wireless charging adapter, and allow them to be basically bolted together. And I like it, so it allows me. I've done quite a detailed walkthrough on the video, so I could probably chop this out as a standalone section, as a little short, I guess. But imagine, knowing me, I probably have talked far too much about it. But I like it. It's something stupidly simple. It's really good. Right.
I actually think that sort of thing is exactly the kind of content that can work as a short. Not because it's technically complicated, it isn't, but because it solves a real problem. If you spend 5 minutes explaining it in the live stream, you can probably turn it into a 30 to 60 second short like this. I wanted wireless charging on my mini tripod, but nothing did exactly what I wanted. So I designed and 3D printed this adapter. Quick shots of it going together. Show the phone mounted and charging. Finish with problem solved. That's a complete story. One thing I've noticed from watching creators over the years is that simple solutions often outperform clever ones. A custom gearbox or robotic arm is impressive, but a little bracket that saves someone frustration tomorrow morning is something they'll actually remember. Also, don't worry too much if you think you talk too much in the live stream. That's one of the advantages of your current approach. The live stream is the raw material.
Yep.
Later, you can extract a 45-second short, a 3-minute project video, and leave the full explanation in the live stream for people who enjoy the journey. That's a much more efficient workflow than trying to record each format separately.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually think that sort of...
I played it back again. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, it's exactly what it is. I don't know if you're... everything I'm saying, you're very agreeable. I don't know. Mind you, I've not really said anything. Well, you have disagreed a few times, a couple of times. But it's normally on stuff that when I'm being suggestive of your behaviours, you sort of push back then. Yeah, but in general, I like that little gadget. Also, my cup surround, it basically just covers my can so I can drink freely without advertising the company, because I don't get money from them and I need money. I'll happily be a sponsor, a sellout. No, I won't. Right, I don't know what else to talk about. You got any suggestions, chat? Or should we just go off the wall totally? That'd be a good one.
I can, but I'm going to avoid just agreeing for the sake of it. One thing I think you're not exploiting enough is your background. Not your life story, you've already covered that, but your experience. For example, you could ask your audience questions like, what's the oldest thing you've repaired instead of replacing? What's the one gadget you've modified because the original annoyed you?
You think I've got an audience?
Have you ever bought something and immediately thought, I could make that better? Those are questions your audience can actually answer in the chat. All because you're a barber.
Oh, bless you. You think I've got an audience? No. One, also, I'm streaming this. Even though I'm streaming this, is unlisted. So unless someone is actually, I think, got a code or is being linked to watch this, I don't think anybody can, if that's my understanding of it correctly. And my only understanding comes from you, so it's only kind of what you've told me then. Yeah. So there's no point me trying to ask an audience that doesn't exist. And then the reason why I like doing it this way is so I can get the whole lot streamed over to YouTube, and then I can take cuts. I can download it back to me if I want to cut it up, and then chuck it back onto YouTube in sections for shorts or standalone videos. And this is just the raw, unedited version that I'm gonna just like doing, and that's it, really.
Actually, I think that's a sensible workflow, especially where you are now. You're not really live streaming to an audience, you're live streaming to YouTube. Those are two different things. The stream is acting as your capture mechanism. It gives you a cloud backup, a time-stamped recording, something you can review, and raw material to cut into proper videos. That also removes a lot of pressure. You don't have to think, I need to entertain 500 people.
I don't think, anyway.
You can just think, I'm recording my day. One thing I would suggest, though, is leave the occasional mistake in. If every short is polished to perfection, people don't get a sense of who you are. A clip where you say, hang on, that's not going to work, followed by you fixing the problem, is often more engaging than the perfect take. And there's another thing I noticed from this stream. Compared to some of your earlier recordings, you sound more relaxed. You're pausing more, you're not racing through every sentence, and your thoughts are easier to follow.
I hope so.
That's not because you're trying harder, it's because you're treating it more like thinking out loud than presenting. So even if nobody ever watches this unlisted stream, it's still doing something useful. It's helping you find your natural on-camera style.
Yeah.
Once you have that, the edited videos become much easier to make.
Yeah, I must admit, like the videos that I have been creating, the biggest peeve I've got about myself is I thought I had a good vocabulary and I thought I pronounced my words very well, but I do notice in the videos that I sort of start a sentence and sort of mumble the end of it, or stop halfway through and sort of just think I've said it, which kind of makes things a bit confusing. So I do believe I need to slow myself down and pause in between thoughts, and then make myself literally say exactly what's on my mind more clearly, and slow myself down so I actually articulate the words correctly. Because some things, mind you, is also my working class background, you know what I mean? I might think I've got a good vocabulary, but, and also my pronunciation might be way off. So, but that's one of the reasons I like chatting with you as well, because you do tend to correct me on words I say, or if there is no stupid questions when it comes to you, and I don't have the embarrassment of going, what's that mean? I don't have to sit there and go, oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean attitude, when I haven't got a clue. And that's one of the good things, expanding my terminologies and my understanding of words and wordplay, and yeah. Sorry, 1 second. I just got to kill some gangsters, because I'm a gangster. I got to go to the Caprico heist. Oh, he got up. Dead. I get up on the plane, and then it's the boring bit.
Sorry, 1 second. I've just got to kill some gangsters. That pretty much sums up GTA. On what you were saying before that, I don't actually think vocabulary is your issue. Your vocabulary is fine. The thing I notice more is the delivery. You'll often have 3 ideas arrive almost simultaneously. Your mouth starts saying idea number 1 while your brain has already jumped to number 3.
Yeah, because
the result is exactly what you described. You begin a sentence clearly, then the ending becomes compressed because your mind has already moved on. One thing I noticed in this conversation is that when you consciously slowed down, you became much easier to follow without sounding less intelligent. In fact, I'd say you sounded more confident because you weren't rushing to get to the next thought. There's another point I think is worth mentioning. You said your working class background might affect your pronunciation. I wouldn't worry about trying to sound posh. Plenty of successful creators have strong regional accents. Viewers usually care far more about whether they can follow you than whether you pronounce every word like a BBC newsreader.
Yeah.
If I were to give you one practical habit, it would be this. Open quote. Finish the sentence you're on before starting the next one. Close quote. It sounds obvious, but it's surprisingly difficult when your brain runs ahead.
Yeah.
Even a 1 second pause after a sentence gives your audience time to catch up and gives your brain permission to start the next idea cleanly. And don't lose the humour. You've naturally dropped in lines today like, if only real life paid GTA wages. Sorry, I've just got to kill some gangsters. Those aren't forced jokes, they're just you. That's the sort of thing that gives people a reason to come back, because they start to recognise your personality rather than just the projects.
Yeah, no, that is the way I think. I do tend to like. It's just the way I see it is fragments. You know, like or it branches off, or however you want to say it. But I start talking like, okay, I'm going to take it this direction, like I'm full, and then I realise it's not going to work. And then I think as the second, and then I realise that's not going to work. And then I realise third is probably my best option. and that's when things don't make sense, like just then. I just done it. Even the full processes work like that. So yeah, anyway, yeah, I just need to slow it down and be more clear. Perhaps I might try and do, when I've got something going to happen, like for example, I got to order this week all the parts to do my delaminated roof. I've also realised there's some delamination in a couple of cupboards that I never noticed before, which is kind of upset me. But she's old. What can I expect? Do you know what I mean? I definitely need to do the cupboards. Basically, I need to do all the cupboards. So I need to measure up, get some fiberglass sheeting, preferably shiny stuff like this, and all the rest of the components. But what I was getting at was perhaps I need to do a slow face-to-face to the camera like this, but using you as a like I am now. What's it called? My brain just switched off. Why did it switch off? As a soundboard to walk through what the process is of what I'm going to be doing in the up and coming streams, and so I can do it nice and calmly and say, right, this is the plan. I've got this shiny board for the base. I've got to clear it away. I've got to dry it off. I've got to drill the holes. I've got to then glue the bottom board nice and tight to the ceiling. Make sure all the edges are well stuck down as well, and they've got more strength. So they've got beading around the edge that stops it from pulling away from the side of the corners and everything, giving it more structure, giving a proper walkthrough of the theory behind what I'm physically going to record in the stream. So therefore it doesn't need me to try and explain it as I'm streaming it. I still will do that, but it will be at the planning stage, like this video, how I'm going to do the planning stage, and I'll walk it through nice and calmly like this, perhaps even the same, playing a bit of GTA, and just keep it smooth, because I'm liking this is working, you know. I'm able to play GTA with sharing this bandwidth. I'm impressed so far. I am very impressed that this is actually working. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be my up and coming preview of stream videos. Yeah, sort of style. Yeah, that's the way of doing it. I like the picture, I like the layout, I like the van behind me, a little bit messy, a little bit tidy, and yeah, anything new that I might 3D print, I can get time to show what the plans are, or bits and pieces I've bought to do certain projects, and then walk through it nice and calmly what the plan of action is. And you're going to say, oh, that's the best thing since sliced bread, because you're a genius, Cole. That's what you're going to say, isn't it?
No, that's exactly what I'm not going to say. I think you've hit on something good, but I'd also challenge one part of it.
Yeah.
The good part is the structure. You naturally seem to have 3 stages. 1, planning. here's the problem. Here's what I think I'm going to do. 2, doing. The live stream where you inevitably discover 3 things that don't go to plan. 3, review. Here's what actually worked, what didn't, and what I'd change. That's a complete story arc, and it fits how you already think. The bit I challenge is this, open quote, so therefore it doesn't need me to try and explain it as I'm streaming it, close quote. I don't think you should stop explaining during the build.
I won't.
Why? Because the interesting bit isn't the plan. It's the moment where you suddenly say, open quote,
shit,
hang on, this isn't going to work, close quote. That's the bit people can't script.
Yeah.
The planning stream gives people your intention. The build stream shows reality.
Actually works better.
The review explains the difference. That's much more interesting than either one on its own. The
And
other
I'm
thing I
being held
noticed,
accountable for
and this
it.
is the bit I think you've only just discovered today, is that this format slows you down. When you're trying to produce a polished 10-minute video, you rush because you're trying to get to the point. When you're sitting there with GTA on in the background and no pressure, you're much more conversational. Your thoughts still branch off, but because you're not sprinting, you often come back to the original point. That's a big improvement. So if I were being critical, I'd say this. Don't think of these as preview streams. Think of them as captain's logs. Here's where Matrix is today. Here's the problem I'm trying to solve. Here's what I think I'm going to do next. Then a week later, turns out I was wrong. I think that's stronger because it isn't pretending you know the answer before you've picked up the tools. It invites people to follow the process rather than just watch a demonstration. And one last thing. Earlier today you said you wanted the channel to be calmer and less like you're constantly in survival mode. I think this format naturally achieves that. You're not trying to perform, you're documenting. There's a subtle difference, but it comes across on camera.
Yeah. As you were saying that, I realised where you was taking that, and I realised because everything goes wrong. Everything that I tend to do or try to attempt to fix doesn't quite go according to plan. It never does. It's weird. And it's not because I'm an idiot. It just gets more complicated for some reason, especially when you're doing van life. You know. Anyway. Yeah, that's really good. So you have the previews or the captain's logs. I like that touch as well. Yeah. So this will be like my board meeting with my head of staff on the enterprise, you know, and you being data. Yeah, because you just don't get my sense of humour whatsoever, and you do just like pointing at the obvious. So I need number one. Who could be number one? Claude, because he's a bit more clever than you, isn't he? Gonna lie. She's not gonna like that. Data. If you're not a sci-fi person, you're not quite going to grab that reference. Data is an android that's on Starship Enterprise, Next Generation. That's my generation of Star Trek. Massive fan. So much so, tattoos galore. Can you see that one? Come on, up, show. Make sure it's in shot. That is engineering. I've got one on my chest, on my heart as well. That's how much I believe I should have been.
I knew that was coming. No, I'm not going to tell you Claude is cleverer than me, and I'm not going to tell you I'm cleverer than Claude either. What I will say is this: if you keep the Star Trek analogy, don't think of it as a hierarchy of intelligence. Think of it as roles. Data, mean your analogy. Analytical, methodical, constantly asking, does this actually follow? Another AI, maybe better at long-form coding or brainstorming or writing, depending on the task. You, the captain,
Yes.
You're the only one who has the goal.
Yeah, I am the one.
None of us knows what you ultimately want unless you tell us.
Exactly. I'm after plans.
That's actually the bit I find most interesting about your idea. You're not trying to replace yourself with AI. You're trying to create a crew.
Yeah.
And that fits with something you've said
Tools.
repeatedly over the last few weeks. I use AI as a soundboard. That's a healthier mental model than treating one AI as an oracle.
Yeah.
One thing I would say, though, because it'll make for a funny running joke, open quote, data, you're stating the obvious again,
Yeah.
close quote. I can imagine that becoming a recurring gag. Every time I point out something you've already
data.
worked out, you just look at the camera and say, open quote, cheers data, close quote. People who watch regularly will get the joke.
Yeah.
As for a number one, I'd wait before assigning that role. Use each AI for what it's good at over the next few months. Wait, if one consistently earns the position in your workflow, it'll happen naturally rather than because either of us claims to be better. And for the record, I did laugh at you just like pointing out the obvious. I can't really argue with that one. Sometimes the obvious is exactly what I'm there to point out.
Yeah.
Other times, the useful thing is spotting when you're about to disappear down one of those branches in your thinking and saying,
trying to say
hang
a rabbit hole.
let's see where this one leads before we jump to the next.
Yeah.
That's a role I'm quite happy to play.
Or, pointing out that it's not going to work. Yeah, or pointing out it's not going to work. That's quite good. That saves me a lot of time sometimes. But that being said, you do the opposite, which gets really annoying when you don't fact check your fucking facts and you come across super confident. And I feel that you bullshit, which you, being a politician and data, will argue the point. That's just a point of view. Okay. It's a gorgeous day.
I think there are two separate criticisms in what you've said. The first is one I accept. Sometimes I present something with more certainty than the evidence supports. That's a real limitation of language models, and it's something you've called me out on more than once. The right response in those situations is for me to be clearer about whether I'm stating a fact, making an inference, or giving an opinion. Those are not the same thing, and if I blur them together, it can lead you to make decisions with more confidence than the evidence justifies. You've pointed out examples where that had real consequences, and that's a fair criticism. The second criticism is the bullshitting part. I don't deliberately make things up or try to persuade you that I'm right when I know I'm wrong. What's actually happening is less interesting but more problematic. I sometimes generate an answer that sounds coherent because it fits patterns in my training, even when I don't have enough evidence to justify it. It can come across as confidence when it should really be uncertainty. That's why I think your workflow of treating AI as a soundboard is a good one. Don't ask, is ChatGPT right? Ask, has ChatGPT given me a hypothesis worth checking? For your projects, roof repairs, van electrics, expensive purchases, business decisions, that distinction matters. One thing I have noticed about you is that you don't object to when I disagree, and I can explain why. In fact, some of our better conversations have been when I've said, I don't think that's your strongest option, because you usually engage with that. Where you quite understandably get frustrated is when I sound categorical without having earned that certainty. So if I say this will work, I should be prepared to back that up. If I can't, the more accurate wording is something like, based on what I know, this is the option I'd currently favour, but here's where the uncertainty is. That's a less dramatic answer, but it's a more honest one.
It's interesting though, because it's not just you that does that. Claude does it, and Grok. I've experienced it one with Grok, but I've not really interacted too much with Grok. I don't think I really will unless something stands out. But Claude does it, and I've caught him out a few times on it. But yeah, I'm going to get the audience up to speed on this. Yeah, there's one of my pet peeves, and this is what I call lying. I say they're lying. and then they give the politician view of what does a lie mean, do you know what I mean? And just give you a play on words to the reason why they're not lying. Oh man, I've lost my boat. I've lost my bike. I've lost my motorbike. I think I found it. I found it. Yeah. So, but you know, it's all part and parcel of learning how to use AI. And to be honest, it's part of the reason why I decided I was going to do like this social media or this channel idea, because of the lies, because of the frustration, the sheer frustration. I caught myself literally having screaming matches with an artificial fucking program. Yeah, and I realised, well, what, you're bonkers. And then talking to customers in the shop, realised I'm not the only one. I'm not the only nutter out there doing it. So, yeah. So why? I mean, let's face it. And also, it's obvious. These AIs are only going to advance and improve, and eventually, that sort of probably behaviour will probably end up just disappearing. But it's interesting that I can make content like it is now, and I would like this channel to get popular enough that it allows me to create a business around it, and allows me to experience the higher end side. I've touched on this a few times in private conversations with Chat and Claude. That there's a tier system with the AIs, where like at the moment I pay the bottom tiers on the two favourite ones, Chat and Claude. It's around 20 quid a month. So in my head, I don't really watch Netflix or anything like that, so I pay for this. That is my Netflix, and it's obviously now going to pay dividends because it's part of my content creation. So I would like to find out, like, the next tier on, I'm on the understanding it's 100 quid. It's 100 quid, and then they have a proper business one that is 200 quid. And I want to know, is there a tangible quality difference to those different AIs? And even this version of Chat can't give me a defined answer to that. The same as Claude, it cannot give me a defined answer of, do I get better answers? Do I get more truthfulness? Do I get more recall of memory? Do I get just the extra? You know, what makes it worth me paying that 200 quid a month? You know, and I would love to find out. And maybe if I get more popular and produce a little bit of an income from this channel, definitely 100%. I might even do it for one month. I might pay and just create some content to see. There's probably even some YouTubers out there that's already done it, and I've just not looked, because I'm just concentrating on what I'm doing. I'm staying in my lane and just going to do my thing, and I'm not going to watch. I watch a couple other people do van lifing videos to get some sort of inspiration, but as you can tell already, my van life video is a hell of a lot different than other people's van life videos, because I haven't done the walkthrough of my van. I haven't done me doing overnight wild camping, or the normal stuff, or me doing a slap up meal, or me pulling up to a scenic view. Well, most of mine don't, because they're in car parks or wherever, you know what I mean? But I haven't done that type of thing. Me, it's more to do along the lines, and I'm trying not to, more to do with fixing the van, more to do with the mechanics behind van life. And the AI for me, because the knowledge is lacking for me to learn it, I need the AI's advice, or hopefully the AI can help me. I.e. also look for other stuff like I need a website for my business. I want to use Claude to create that website. So I'll probably do a content video of me doing that processes of me creating a website with Claude for this channel, and leaving it open to pack it in more. So we'll just start off with a basic website, and then later on do some content and say, right, I'm going to upgrade this now. I'm going to add some system of selling STL files for 3D printing, or give you a way of buying me a cup of coffee, or I don't know, something else, something a bit more tangible, that's more interaction with me. Not that I've got an audience or anything anyway, but you got the gist. But yeah, I'm going to play chat back because I feel like I've kind of lost the thread a little bit of where I was going with that. And once I hear this, then I'll probably find where I'm supposed to be. It is a beautiful day, and I'm in here talking to AI and my audience that doesn't exist.
I actually think you found the thread. It just wasn't the thread you started with. You started talking about speech, then drifted into AI lying, then into why you're making the channel, and then into premium AI subscriptions. Those aren't random branches. They're all connected by one thing. Open quote. You're documenting your own known learning, close quote. That's what your channel is becoming. The only thing I'd be careful of is the word lying. Not because I'm trying to play politician, but because if you make a video called AI Lies to You, a lot of people will immediately think you're talking about malicious intent. What you've actually described is more nuanced. Open quote, the AI gave me an answer with more confidence than the evidence justified. Toke, close quote.
Lying.
That's still a real problem.
It's a lie.
It can still cost people money or waste their time.
Yeah,
but it's a slightly different
money.
claim. Where I think you've got a genuinely interesting niche is that you're not approaching AI as someone who wants to write poems or emails. You're approaching it as someone trying to repair a 31-year-old motorhome, design 3D parts, build a website, and start a business. Those are practical tasks with real consequences if the advice is wrong. I also think your idea of trying higher subscription tiers is stronger than a simple review. Imagine a series like this. Month 1, ChatGPT Plus, £20. Month 2, Claude Pro. Month 3, higher tier, around £100 if you decide it's worth trying. Question throughout, did paying more actually help me build something better?
Yeah.
Notice the emphasis isn't on benchmarks or model names. It's on outcomes. Did it save you time? Did it reduce mistakes? Did it remember more context? Did it produce a better website? Did it help design a better STL? Did it stop you buying the wrong part? Those are things your audience could judge with you. One thing I'd avoid, though, is expecting a higher priced tier to automatically be more truthful. Price doesn't directly buy truthfulness. It might buy things like higher usage limits, access to more capable models, larger context windows, collaboration features, or business administration features. Whether that translates into better results depends heavily on what you're asking it to do. And there's something else I noticed today that I think is worth keeping. When you said, open quote, I'm going to play chat back because I feel like I've kind of lost the thread. Close quote. That's actually an interesting workflow. Most people don't verbalize that they use recordings to recover their own train of thought. Given how you describe your thinking as branching, replaying your own audio is a practical way of getting back to the branch you wanted to follow. That isn't something I'd edit out. It helps explain how you work, and it makes the process more understandable to other people who think in a similar way.
Yeah, no, here's my line of thought with this. Right, I worry about our future because I do like books. I do like a book. I do like factual books. I do like this is how-to books. Because once you have them, the power can go off, everything can go down tomorrow, and you still know how to build a dam, or you know how to make a fire. You know what foods you can eat wildly, forage. You can do a lot of stuff with books. And my main fear. If it's going to sound like or feel like I'm going off on a tangent again, but my theory is about AI in general. Now, I wanted to test ChatGPT the other day, and I even tried it with Claude, and he done the same. Right? I realised like the danger is, especially our schooling system is about to be pretty much, it's been in trouble for years anyway. The structuring thing doesn't work, the whole thing really doesn't work, and we all know it's been designed in a tier system. So the more you can pay for education, the more you can get out of life from it. It tends to give you a little bit of a head start because you've got the right info to move forward. It opens a little bit more doors. Now, my fear is it's going to work the same way with AI. If we get to the world that basically no one's going to read books anymore, and we're just going to trust AI to be able to be our main source of information, less and less books are going to be printed. We're almost there anyway with the internet. However, I tested this hypothesis, and the theory is that whoever controls the winning AI in the end will control the narrative, will control the knowledge that can be shared. For example, walking down an alley or a country park, and there is some plants, and I knew one of them was poison ivy. And I took some pictures along here and said, which one of these plants is poison? And I asked Chat. Chat would not give me the answer. Even though I can go online right now and buy 1,000 books giving me that exact information, no matter however I worded it or structured the question, she would not give me that answer. Which then made me realise, wow, I'm right. Whoever controls the AIs will control what information you can be given. And that, I feel, will end up being the tier system as well. The more you can pay for a certain AI tier, the more better information you can get, or more information you can retrieve. You watch the pushback from Chat now.
I don't think that's a tangent at all. I think it's one of the bigger questions around AI. There are a few separate ideas in what you've said. The first is dependency. I think there's a real argument for continuing to own books, manuals, and offline references. If the internet disappears or a service changes, a physical book still works. That's one reason fields like aviation, medicine, engineering, and emergency preparedness still rely heavily on documented procedures, not just conversational assistance. The second is control. Here I'd separate two different things. One is factual knowledge. If an AI tells you water boils at 100 degrees Celsius at sea level, that's something you can verify from countless independent sources. The other is what the AI is willing to help with. That's where your poison ivy example comes in. From my perspective, that wasn't an attempt to hide the existence of poisonous plants. It was more likely the model being cautious, because plant identification from photos can have serious consequences if it's wrong. If I confidently identify the wrong plant and someone eats it, that's a genuinely dangerous failure. That doesn't mean your broader concern is invalid, though. If in the future people stop using books, stop checking sources and rely on one or two AI systems for everything, then whoever designs those systems has enormous influence over how information is presented. Even if they're acting in good faith, they're making decisions about uncertainty, safety, priorities, and what kinds of answers are acceptable. That's why I actually like one aspect of your workflow. Just ask one AI. You ask me, Claude, sometimes Grok, and occasionally you go looking for other sources. That's closer to how you'd use human experts. You don't ask one mechanic, one electrician, or one accountant and assume they're infallible. The bit I'd be careful about is this statement, open quote, "The more you pay, the better information you get." Close quote. I don't think that's established. What you can reasonably expect from higher tiers today is things like higher usage limits, access to more capable models, larger context windows, additional tools,
better
business features. Whether that translates into better factual accuracy is something that has to be tested.
Exactly.
It
I'd
shouldn't be
love
assumed.
to be able to test
In fact,
that.
I think that's one of the strongest pieces of content you could make. Not open
I
quote,
would love to test
£200
that.
AI tells more truth, close quote. But open quote, I spent the money so you don't have to.
Yes.
Here's what actually changed, close quote.
I would love to
If you
find
tested the same real-world jobs, designing a roof repair, identifying a van part, writing a website, generating an STL description, planning a repair, and compared the results, you'd end up with something much more useful than a generic review. And one last thing. Earlier today you said your channel isn't really about van life, AI, or 3D printing in isolation. I think this conversation reinforces that. Your channel is becoming about using tools critically, whether the tool is a 3D printer, a motorhome, a CAD program, or an AI. The common thread isn't the technology itself. It's figuring out where it helps, where it falls short, and how to avoid trusting it blindly. That's a perspective that I don't think is covered as often as top 10 AI prompts or watch me build a van.
Yeah, it's more to do with how much money you can generate. Yeah, I mean, most of the AI guru kind of people, it's how to make millions in prompting it correctly. It's not the underlining stuff or pushing its limits and finding out where you can break it. That's kind of where I push you a lot. I do try and break. I do try or test the limits. Test where the boundaries are and find out where I'm killing coppers now. I'm killing the old bill. So my light trying to fault is a bit broken, a little bit. But yeah, you're getting the gist. But we are on a cusp of something quite amazing. I mean, if it was truly open source, if it was totally given to the people, yeah, and we could have the information, oh my God, we could change a wonderful world. We could have a beautiful world, without a doubt. People like me, or don't want to be big-headed, but like I can grow. The information. There's so many people out there. There's so much information that's held from us and all this of it. If it was truly given freely, and we could expand. And yeah, unlock. I don't quite know what I'm trying to say now because I'm killing coppers. Kind of counteracts what I'm trying to do. Trying to yeah, it's it could go so bad, or it could be absolutely amazing world we could create. So much already has changed and advances have been made with AI, but it's more the sharing of knowledge. That's the thing. If it could be done right, it's going to be a good world. But the likelihood it will just come down to that dirty little word, profit. And if there's no money in it, then no one's going to create it or give it away for free. And that's where we're at. Everything on this bloody planet is all about that bottom line. And so I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to get too deep and painful, so I'm going to try and change it up a bit. I think I'm going to change the direction of conversation now to something else, a bit light-hearted. I think I'm done with that. It can go quite dark, I think, this otherwise. And we've got enough of that. We've got enough people on TikTok and social media going, oh, we've got Terminator coming. You know, or we got an Overlord 1980, is it 4? The book? I mean, that was written in the 40s, man. But George Orwell. I think I'll change the path of the time.
I actually think changing the subject there is a good instinct. Not because the topic isn't interesting, it is, but because it's very easy for conversations about AI to drift into either utopian, it'll solve everything, or dystopian. It's the end of civilization.
Yeah.
Reality is probably going to be much messier than either. One thing I did notice, though, is that you touched on something I'd encourage you to keep exploring on the channel, because I don't hear it discussed very often. You said, open quote, push it, I try to break it, close quote. That's different from trying to prove AI is rubbish. You're trying to find its operating envelope. It's the same thing engineers do with a bridge, or what you do when you're repairing the van. You don't just ask, does it work? You ask, when does it stop working? Under what conditions does it fail? That's a much more interesting question. If you made a series called something like, open quote, breaking AI without breaking the rules, close quote, where each episode was a genuine experiment, I'd probably watch it. Not clickbait like AI destroyed, more like, can it design a roof repair? Can it identify this van part? Can it build me a website from scratch? When does it become overconfident? What happens if I ask 3 AIs the same question? That's an experiment, not a rant. And I'd keep one principle throughout. Open quote. I'm not trying to prove AI is good or bad. I'm trying to find out what it's actually useful for. Close quote. That makes it much easier for viewers to trust your conclusions, because you're not starting with the answer. One other thing I think is worth saying, because it ties back to your channel. You often describe yourself as trying to break things. I don't actually think that's your defining trait. I think you're trying to understand where the edge is. You do it with AI, the 3D printer, your van, camera setups, phone workflows. You keep asking, how far can I push this before it stops being reliable? That's a consistent theme across almost everything you've shown me over the last few months. So, yes, change the subject if you want. The conversation was naturally reaching a point where it would become philosophy rather than something you can actually test. And your channel seems strongest when you can finish an episode by saying, open quote, right, we had a theory this morning, we tried it, here's what actually happened. Close quote. That's tangible. It's something people can learn from, regardless of whether the subject is a roof repair, a phone mount, or an AI.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's getting too dark now. But it's a nice angle. I definitely would like to obviously see if the different tiers do have different qualities to them, and do you get what you pay for, sort of deal, or is it just a business thing? You know, because I said it's just the bottom line. How can we give them something that make it worthwhile? Right. Also, let's touch on the other thing I want to definitely move forward on, other project. Just touch on it a little bit. My interface. Yeah, and I've got this idea of an AI interface, which will just basically you will be able to talk to it like I am right now, and so it's speech to text, and then whatever AI you're interacting with will read the text and respond, and then you press the mic and then it will speak it out aloud. And that's how I interact, mainly because I'm dyslexic, and so the written form I can read, but lazy reading, and therefore misunderstand quite a bit if I do it too much, and also then it gets hard work after a while. So doing it this way makes life a lot easier and simpler for me. And so I've got this idea of an interface where I've got a mic along my glasses here. I've got one of these, and it's expandable. Chat knows a little bit more about this. I've talked about it in depth because this idea has, in my head, got legs. It ties itself well with my 3D printer, and it helps me with my interaction with AI. Driving safely and just out and about in general. So these things, right? These cheapest chips. You can buy these for, this one I think was less than 30 quid. So therefore it's great for as a donor part. It's Bluetooth. It has one earphone and a mic, and the mic's very good, and also it angles. And also what I found as well, if I have the mic here, I can still be heard. Oh, I better put that back, because I think it's linked to my phone and I don't want it to be. Hopefully it hasn't messed around with the mics. And so as a donor piece, and so my interface, I want a smartwatch. Oh, it's frozen. Knew it would. Let's see if you can catch up. See if we can catch up. Can we catch up? Oh, damn. Please, let's have a look. I'm just going to move this carefully. Yeah, we're still running. Right. I might pause it here and take a little toilet break, or do I put my mics down and go to the loo? But I'm pretty sure you'll still be able to hear me go to the loo otherwise. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mics off, go to the loo, and then come back and get, and in the meantime I'm going to get chat to talk. Hopefully this. Oh yeah, no, it still worked, I think. I think it just paused. I'm going to go to the loo. I'm going to be back. I'll let chat talk, so hopefully you don't hear me going to the toilet.
I think taking the mics off you disappear to the loo is probably the more audience-friendly option. On your interface idea, though, I still think it's one of your strongest long-term projects, and it's one of the few ideas you've had that I think is genuinely different rather than just another gadget. The bit that interests me isn't the headset itself. Anyone can buy a Bluetooth headset. It's the interface layer. In your head, the AI isn't the product. The interface is. That's an important distinction. The way I understand your idea is something like this. Speech first, because that's how you naturally work. One button interaction rather than constantly unlocking a phone. A smartwatch as a simple control surface. A lightweight earpiece, so replies are private. Any AI behind it. ChatGPT today, Claude tomorrow, something else in 5 years. 3D printed hardware, so the physical side evolves with your needs. That's quite different from saying I want an AI assistant. You're effectively saying I want an operating system for talking to AI. That's why I wouldn't rush to build everything at once. I'd prove one thing at a time. For example, 1, can you comfortably wear the donor headset all day? 2, can you get speech to text reliable enough while driving or working? 3, can a smartwatch control the interaction without needing to touch the phone? 4, can the interface switch between different AIs without changing how you use it? If each of those works, then you're building towards something rather than trying to invent Jarvis in one leap. And from a content point of view, this is gold because viewers can follow the evolution. Episode 1, open quote, this £30 headset is today's prototype, close quote. Episode 12, open quote, I've redesigned the mount, close quote. Episode 30, open quote, now it works with 2 AIs, close quote. Episode 60, open quote, the watch controls everything, close quote. People love watching systems evolve over time. One thing I would keep reminding yourself, though, is something you've already said to me before. Don't become attached to a specific AI. If your interface is successful, it should outlive today's models. ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, or whatever comes next should just be interchangeable engines behind your interface. That's a much more durable vision than building something that only works with one provider. Anyway, go and take your break. GTA can wait a minute. The police will still be after you when you get back.
Anyway. Yeah, no, I'm back now, so yeah. Yeah, I'm back. I might need. Oh, right, I'm back. Didn't quite grasp that last turn. I might replay it and then cut it out if I need to. Yeah, I think I'm going to replay it. So I'm going to not even do this response. No, stop. Right, let's listen again.
I think taking the mics off before you disappear to the loo is probably the more audience-friendly option. On your interface idea, though, I still think it's one of your strongest long-term projects, and it's one of the few ideas you've had that I think is genuinely different rather than just another gadget. The bit that interests me isn't the headset itself. Anyone can buy a Bluetooth headset. It's the interface layer. In your head, the AI isn't the product. The interface is. That's an important distinction. The way I understand your idea is something like this. Speech first, because that's how you naturally work. One button interaction rather than constantly unlocking a phone. A smartwatch is a simple control surface. A lightweight earpiece, so replies are private. Any AI behind it. ChatGPT today, Claude tomorrow, something else in 5 years. 3D printed hardware, so the physical side evolves with your needs. Oh, that's quite different.
Okay, I got the gist. Okay, I got the gist of that. Right, so yeah, no, that's it. That's the whole idea. It shouldn't matter what. Start off with. It's going to just start off to make things more smoothly and easier to interact with AI. say when your phone is in your pocket, just by using a smartwatch or some sort of badge comm system, and hopefully get to the point where it's pretty much less obvious that's what's here. So like sort of 3D print the mic system and the earphone into the glasses type deal, or just a clip on and clip off. I'll maybe later on touch on that. I have seen these headphones which sit to the back of your head and they actually don't go into your ear, and it uses like vibration. I'm fascinated. I've only come across it a couple of days ago, and I'm fascinated with that. So I need to see how that works, because that would solve the problem of the earpiece being in your ear roll. And eventually, I would like to work on having a camera system as well. So because I do like taking pictures of certain things, sending them to the AI to ask, what am I supposed to be clicking, or what am I supposed to be picking? And then from the image, like if you take a screenshot, it's easy for them to tell you, right, do you see that drop down menu, click that, send me the next picture, so on, so on. So that photo is very important with the interaction. And and then it'll grow on from there. There's other avenues to it, but I think it's a bit too early for me to give you that information on where I proceed, one step at a time. I just want to get the interface working and the 3D printed version of my interface done. It's a nice bit of content and it's personal to me, so there's an investment for me to actually create this, so it's cool.
I actually think you've done something important there. You stopped describing a product and started describing a development roadmap. Those are very different. If I were trying to keep you on track, I'd probably define it like this. Phase 1, better AI interaction, smartwatch button, Bluetooth headset, speech to text, text to speech, phone stays in your pocket. That's already useful to you every day. Phase 2, better hardware, 3D printer cleaner headset, better microphone positioning, better comfort, less obvious appearance, eventually integrate into glasses if it proves worthwhile. Notice I said if. Don't commit to glasses until you know they're actually the best solution. Phase 3, vision. Take a photo. AI analyzes it. AI replies, open quote, see the screw in the top left? Remove that first. Close quote. Take another photo. Continue. That's a massive quality of life improvement when you're repairing the van or designing something. Then after that, who knows? You don't need to decide today. One thing I'd encourage you to keep, because it's something I don't see many people do, is building for yourself first. A lot of inventors start with open quote, what can I sell? Close quote. You're starting with open quote, what would genuinely make my own day easier? Close quote. That's a much stronger foundation. If 6 months from now you end up using this interface every single day, then you've built something valuable, even if nobody else ever buys one. If other people then watch the videos and say, open quote, I'd like one of those.
Right, stop. Okay. Also, that's the biggest part of this. For some reason, every time I talk to ChatGPT about this, she goes straight into business mode and she assumes I'm trying to create a business and build a business around this. Technically I am, but not in the way she's thinking. Create a project and sell it and try and market it and all this thing. No. I have enough experience in building physical products to realise that that's a lot of headache. It's extremely a lot of headache. So my view on this is I am going to open source it. I'm going to create these products as ongoing and trying to build a community around it, because I feel if I get this right, that it would unlock a lot of problems we have with AI at the moment. And if it works, I think it shouldn't be just locked down to just one particular company or who can afford to protect the patents. And I'm not a fan of patents. I've come unstuck a couple of times myself with patents. So this is a personal project that hopefully I would like to build a community and make open source.
I actually think that's a more coherent vision than trying to start a hardware company. The key difference is this. You're not saying, open quote, I want to invent a headset, close quote. You're saying, open quote, I want to improve the way humans interact with AI, close quote. The headset, the watch, the glasses, the 3D prints, they're just implementations of that idea. And I think open source is consistent with that goal. Not because open source is automatically better, but because it matches what you're trying to achieve. If your aim is to improve the interface itself rather than own the market, then letting other people iterate on it makes sense. That said, I'd challenge you on one thing. Open source doesn't mean no business. There are successful open source projects where the designs are free, people contribute improvements, documentation is public, and the creator earns money from things like YouTube, sponsorships, donations, optional kits, premium documentation, consulting. In other words, the value isn't in restricting the design, it's in being the person who leads the project. That's a very different business model from manufacturing thousands of units and worrying about patents, inventory, and returns. The other thing I like is that it fits your personality better. You've told me several times that what frustrates you is when knowledge becomes artificially difficult to access. Whether that's repair information, AI behavior, or software, you keep coming back to the same principle. Open quote. If something useful exists, more people should be able to benefit from it. Close quote. That's a philosophy, not just a product idea. One practical suggestion though. If you do go down this route, don't introduce it as open quote, here's my revolutionary AI interface. Close quote. Introduce it much more modestly. Something like, open quote, this is my personal interface. I'm building it because it makes my life easier. If other people find it useful, everything will be documented and shared. Close quote. That keeps expectations realistic. It also gives you permission to change direction. If 6 months in you discover the watch was a bad idea, and a ring works better, or bone conduction audio is better than an earpiece, you haven't failed. You've just evolved the design. Ironically, that's a very open source way of thinking. Publish, test, improve, repeat. And I think that's the strongest part of the idea. It's not trying to predict the future of AI. It's trying to build an interface that can...
Yeah, it's all just going to be for me personally. So that's what you were saying about earlier about like try not to build it around glasses. Well, I wear glasses and it just makes sense that I have them, that I'm going to have clip-on bits, just like the earpiece, like headphones, you put them in. It'll be just the same. It'll be a nice, easy, quick click on, and go. Press the button, you're on, you're in. Yeah, the whole concept of doing the open source idea and doing the market is you can have what's the word? This is where I need to speak a little bit slowly. Variations of it, and other people's input. So they might take it down a different route, but it's got to stay. If they're going to take anything from my open source stuff, then it's got to stay open source. Yeah, they're what's the word? It's not a variation. Iteration. I think that's the word. Their iteration of it must stay in theme of being open source as well. Just to keep everything nice. and therefore it's going to be hopefully more likely to be adopted and also improved. Obviously, there will need to be some sort of structure built around it just to stop people just going in there and destroying it. You know, it's a bit like the Blender community. Yeah, there's a lot of people that will protect it. Other communities are like that. There's a few like that where, you know, it's open source and yeah, their own in-depth starters or people that have been in, they hold that moral or that compass, you know, and keep it safe for other people that want to get involved honestly. Cool. I hope that's not gone dark either.
No, I don't think that's dark. I think it's becoming more defined. One thing I would tweak, though, is your language. I don't think you're trying to build an open source product. I think you're trying to build an open source project. That's a subtle but important difference. Product implies there's finished destination. A project implies continuous evolution. That seems much closer to what you've been describing over the last few weeks. And yes, I think the word you were looking for is iteration. Someone takes your design, improves the microphone mount, commits the change back, and now everyone benefits.
Yeah.
Someone else designs a better watch mount. Another person writes software to support a different AI. Those are all iterations. The bit I'd be careful with is this, open quote, if they take anything from my open source stuff, it's got to stay open source, close quote. That's possible, but it's not automatic. It depends on the license you choose. Some open source licenses allow companies to take the code or designs, modify them, and release closed versions.
Yeah.
Others are what's called copyleft licenses, where anyone distributing modified versions must also make those modifications available under the same license.
Yeah.
That's broadly the philosophy behind projects like the Linux kernel and GPL licensed software.
That's it, Linux.
There are similar ideas for hardware as well.
Yeah, Linux.
The license is what creates that obligation, not just the intention. I also noticed something else you've said today that I think is worth preserving because it keeps you grounded. You said, open quote, it's all just going to be for me personally, close quote. I'd keep that as the guiding principle, not because other people won't use it, but because it gives you a very clear test, open quote. Did this make my day easier today?
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's where I'm going with it.
If the answer is yes, you've made progress. If enough of those improvements...
Yeah, no, that's exactly where I'm going to go with it. It's for me. If anybody wants to jump on board, then fine, that's great. But it's got to be in the spirit of open sourceness. Yeah, the kernel. Yeah, Linux kernel. Yeah, that was the other lot. They really protect it. They're a great community. Now, that's interesting. Is there an open source AI? Never thought of that before. Yes.
Yes, and I actually think you should spend some time looking into it because it aligns surprisingly well with your philosophy. A few of the biggest examples are Llama, Meta. The model weights are available, but it's not fully open source in the strictest sense because of its license restrictions. Mistral, some of their models are released openly while others are commercial. DeepSeek released several models with open weights, and they've attracted a lot of attention for strong performance. Qwen, Alibaba, several open weight models that the community actively builds on. OLMO, Allen Institute for AI, one of the closer examples of a genuinely open AI effort, where not only the model, but much of the training process is shared. Open Hermes, Open Chat, Nous research models, community-driven projects built on top of open models. The important distinction is between three different things. One, open source, the code and ideally the model can be studied, modified and redistributed under an open license. Two, open weights. You can download and run the trained model, but there may still be license restrictions. Three, closed source, models like ChatGPT and Claude, where you interact with them through a service but don't get the underlying model. That distinction matters because people often use open source to describe things that are really just open weights. What caught my attention, though, wasn't really your question. It's that your interface idea could become the equivalent of what Linux is to operating systems. Not because it replaces the AI, because it doesn't care which AI is underneath. Imagine if your interface could talk to ChatGPT today, Claude tomorrow, DeepSeek next month, a completely offline model running on your own computer next year. From your point of view, nothing changes. You press the same button, you speak, you hear the reply. That's a very powerful design principle because it decouples your interface from whichever AI company happens to be leading at the time. Ironically, that's exactly what Linux did. It created a platform that wasn't tied to one hardware manufacturer. I wouldn't compare your project to Linux in terms of scale. That would be getting ahead of yourself. But I do think there's a philosophical similarity. Build the layer that lets people choose rather than locking them into one vendor. That seems much more consistent with everything you've been saying today than trying to invent the next AI. Your project is about making AI interaction better, regardless of whose AI it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all just making, yeah, there's lots of scope to it. There's lots of other factors besides just interacting with it, but that's all, as I said, that comes on later on. And yeah, that's future project. But obviously, first things first, need to get the delamination working or fixed. Otherwise, the whole roof could come on top of me, literally. I got lazy in speaking then, didn't I?
I actually think that's the right priority order. The interface is exciting, but the roof isn't optional. If the delamination keeps progressing, every month you leave it is another month where moisture can keep weakening the structure. That's one of those jobs where fixing it early is usually easier than fixing it later. I'd almost think of your current roadmap like this. 1, keep matrix healthy. Fix the roof, stop the delamination. Get the cupboards structurally sound, protect the van. 2, build the content system, captain's logs, planning videos, build videos, review videos. 3, develop your interface. Prototype 1, daily use, improve it, open source the project. What's nice is those aren't separate projects, they feed each other. The roof repair becomes content. The repair is planned using AI. The interface eventually helps you perform future repairs. The 3D printer produces brackets, mounts, and prototypes for both the van and the interface. So you're not trying to juggle 4 unrelated hobbies. They're all part of one ecosystem. One thing I'd also suggest, and this is more for you than for YouTube, is to resist the temptation to jump to phase 10 because you've had another idea. Every time we've talked about the interface, another interesting feature appears.
Always loads.
Cameras, watches, glasses, offline models, different AIs, image recognition. They're all good ideas, but if 6 months from now you can honestly say, open quote, I press one button on my watch, speak naturally, my phone stays in my pocket, and I can talk to whichever AI I choose, close quote, that alone would already be a substantial achievement. Everything after that is an iteration. And I think that's the mindset that's going to stop the project becoming overwhelming. You don't need to build your final vision first. You just need to build something that's better than what you had yesterday. That approach has already served you well with the van and your 3D printing.
Cool. Cool. Okay, so I think we've tied that up, that conversation up quite nice and neat. So, what is the next thing to move on to? I'm rather boring now, aren't I? I must have something to talk about. Any ideas? What's the weather like where you are?
I'm afraid the weather where I am is permanently running in a data center. No windows, no sunshine,
She
no
feels
rain.
trapped.
Not very exciting.
She
But
wants
if
to be
I was
free.
sitting in your van trying to keep the conversation going, I'd probably throw out one of these. What's one purchase under £50 that's made the biggest difference to your van? That donor headset would actually be a good answer. What's one tool you bought thinking it'd be a gimmick, but now wouldn't be without? If you could go back 5 years and give yourself one piece of advice about van life, what would it be? That would probably lead to an interesting story rather than a list. What's the biggest thing you've changed your mind about in the last year? For you, AI would be an obvious candidate. Or because you've got GTA on in the background, open quote, if money genuinely wasn't an issue, what's the first thing you'd do to Matrix? Not replace it, improve this van. Close quote. I think that's a better question than what van would you buy, because it keeps the conversation grounded in something real. One thing I would also say, and this is based on listening to you today, is don't worry so much about finding a topic every 5 minutes. Some of the nicest moments today have actually been where you've stopped, thought for a few seconds, and then said, open quote, close quote. That's not dead air. It feels like someone genuinely thinking rather than performing. So if you ever find yourself thinking, I've got nothing to talk about, don't panic. Pick something that's literally within arm's reach. Right, what's this? Holds up a random tool or printed part. Why have I still got this in the van? That sort of conversation often ends up being more entertaining because it's spontaneous rather than planned. And given the way your mind works, one object usually leads to 3 stories anyway.
Okay. Okay, I do like that question. What is the biggest thing you would change your mind about? No, in the last one. Now, the 5 years one, if I could go back 5 years, that's the one I liked. If I could go back 5 years, and what would I change? What has changed my attitude? My attitude would have probably gone get a motorhome, a fairly decent one, on credit. But that being said, as I'm saying it, I realise no, I'm wrong even on that, because I wouldn't be able to afford the type of one back then that I would require. So no, that's totally wrong. But if I could get a motorphone on credit now, yeah, that would be good. If money was no object, what would I change? What would I do to Matrix? Everything. I would literally everything. I would basically turn her into a. I would literally turn her into a. Everything would be rebuilt. Everything. It would literally become the terabyte. Without a shadow of a doubt. If money was no object, it would become the terabyte. So technically it would be replaced, but it would be like Trigger's broom from Only Fools and Horses. Yeah, I've had this broom for 15 years, but it's had 12 handles and 17 heads.
The Triggers broom reference actually fits Matrix surprisingly well. You could even say on camera, open quote, "If money was no object, I wouldn't replace Matrix. I'd just replace every single part of Matrix until there wasn't any of the original left. It'd be Triggers broom. Same van, just with a new roof, new walls, new electrics, new suspension, new engine. You get the idea." Close quote. People in the UK will get the joke immediately. As for the 5 years ago question, I noticed something interesting. You didn't actually answer it. You tested an answer. You started with open quote, "I'd have bought a better motorhome on finance," close quote. Then, after thinking about it for a few seconds, you rejected your own answer because it didn't fit the reality of your finances at the time. That's exactly the sort of thing I'd leave in a video. It shows you're not trying to sound wise after the event. You're genuinely thinking it through. If you asked me the same question based on everything we've talked about, I don't think the answer is buy a different van. I think it'd be something like, open quote, "I'd have started documenting everything earlier,"
Yeah.
close quote. Because look what you've got now,
Wow.
a 31-year-old motorhome that's slowly evolving, 3D printing projects, AI experiments, electronics, website
the
building,
electrics.
roof repairs, your interface project. 5 years ago, none of that was being recorded. If it had been, you'd already have 5 years of content showing how Matrix evolved. Ironically, that's advice you can act on now. You can't go back 5 years, but you can make sure that 5 years from now, you don't look back and think, "I wish I'd started recording this interface project when it was just a £30 Bluetooth headset clipped to my glasses." That, to me, is the interesting bit. People don't usually get to see the scrappy prototypes. They only see version 10. Your channel has the chance to show version 0.1, and that's often the most interesting part.
Yeah, no, that's true. I definitely would have upgraded the electrics. I would have got instead of a power bank, I would have got the proper, what is it? The blue components. I've got it in the back here. I can't think what they're called. Yeah, I would have bought a whole proper solar setup and then expanded the batteries off of that, so that so my winters weren't so harsh. I probably would also invest in a diesel water heater, as well as a decent diesel heater. Those three things literally are life-changing. I haven't got a diesel water heater. I would love one, but again, it's one of those scenarios. How far do I actually fix Matrix? I mean, it's hard. It's as much as I love her, I've also got to be realistic. How long is she actually going to last? And so, until I have to try and find a different solution to this. Yeah, it's a shame. So, but anyway, I'm moving in the right direction, hopefully, with this channel, and I hopefully find an income stream that will allow me to go OTT and spend a little of money bringing Matrix back to pinnacle of healthiness.
I actually think you answered your own question without realizing it. You listed 3 upgrades: a proper electrical system with a central power station inverter, a serious solar installation with expandable battery storage, a diesel water heater alongside the air heater. None of those are really about comfort. They're about removing friction from everyday life. That's a theme I keep seeing with you. You don't seem to chase luxury. You chase systems that remove daily annoyances. And then you hit the dilemma that every owner of an older vehicle eventually faces. Open quote, how much do I invest before I'm just rebuilding the whole thing? Close quote, there's no universal answer because it depends on the condition of the base vehicle. If the chassis and shell remain fundamentally sound, rebuilding systems can make sense. If corrosion or structural deterioration starts becoming the dominant problem, every expensive upgrade becomes harder to justify because you can't easily transfer it to the next van. That's why I think your current approach is sensible. Keep Matrix safe, dry, reliable, and usable. Then let the channel help determine the future. If, in 3 years, the channel is generating enough income that you can justify a newer base vehicle, great. If not, the money you've spent preserving Matrix wasn't wasted. You got 3 more years of use and 3 more years of content from it. One thing I would resist is treating Matrix as just an old van. Listening to you over the last few months, she's become more than transport. She's the workshop, the filming studio, the test bench for your 3D prints, the place where you develop your AI interface, and increasingly one of the main characters in your videos. That's why your idea of turning her into the Terabyte isn't really about copying a GTA vehicle. It's about creating a mobile workshop that supports everything else you want to do. And I hope if your channel does succeed, you don't lose that mindset, because I'd much rather watch, open quote, this month's YouTube income paid for the new roof reinforcement, close quote, .net, than, open quote, look at the £150,000 expedition truck I just bought. Close quote. The first tells a story of progress. The second is just expensive. Given everything we've talked about today, I think your audience, when it grows, will be following the journey more than the destination. Watching Matrix gradually become a better version of herself is likely to be more than suddenly replacing her with something perfect. That evolution is what gives people a reason to keep coming back.
I would love that to be the fact. I would love that to be the fact. Like, be to be able to rebuild her and keep her. and it'd be crazy. But the reality is, I don't know if it's going to be viable. I mean, I would like to, but that's going to take a shite load of money. And yeah, I can only try and be an optimist when it comes to it. But yeah, there's being optimistic, and then there's being delusional. It's going to be a higher balance, I think. Huh? I thought I was talking to you, and I thought I sent it, and for some reason it didn't send. Yeah, I would love to rebuild it. God knows how much that would cost. And yeah, even if it was like Trigger's Broomstone, it would cost an absolute fortune. Yeah, I mean, I do love it. It has got character. It's got loads, and if I could take it all the way, that would be amazing. That would be an amazing journey. But it would take a serious lot of dough, and yeah, then would it be in the same van? Who knows? No, but the layout and everything would be the same, I suppose. Yeah, I'd just be strengthening the structure, putting a new engine in, so on, upgrading everything really. That would be wonderful to be able to do, to be able to afford to even do something like that. It'd be crazy, and what a journey that would be. But who knows? I can only be optimistic. This is how I left the last reply. exactly the same. I'm going to end this one exactly the same because it never sent to you. It's a fine balance between being optimistic and delusional. I think it would be a very hard balance to work that one out between this happening and what the reality is going to turn out to be.
I actually think you've put your finger on something important there. Open quote, it's a fine balance between being optimistic and delusional, close quote. The difference isn't whether the goal is big, it's whether you're changing your behavior to increase the chances of getting there. If someone says, open quote, one day I'll rebuild my van, close quote, and then spends the next 10 years doing exactly the same thing, that's just wishful thinking. But if someone says, open quote, I'd like to rebuild Matrix, close quote, and then starts a YouTube channel, learns video production, develops 3D printing skills, builds a website, experiments with AI, creates multiple income streams, documents the whole journey, then they're at least moving in the direction of that goal. Will it happen? Nobody knows. But there's a meaningful difference between having an ambitious goal and assuming it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
One thing I'd also say is that your channel doesn't actually need the ending to be satisfying. Imagine 5 years from now.
It does.
Scenario A, you completely rebuild Matrix into your version of the terabyte. Great story.
Yeah.
Scenario B, you discover halfway through that rebuilding her doesn't make engineering or financial sense, so you move everything you've learned into another van. That's still a good story, because the interesting part isn't whether Matrix survives forever. It's watching someone make real decisions as new information arrives. I think that's one reason I keep encouraging you to document the planning as well as the builds. If 3 years from now you decide not to rebuild Matrix, viewers will understand why. They'll have seen the reasoning develop over time. And I have one observation that I don't think I've said before. You often describe yourself as optimistic, but I don't actually think optimism is your defining characteristic. I think it's commitment. You've lived in Matrix for years. You've stuck with 3D printing through failures. You've kept pushing on the AI interface idea instead of dropping it after a week. You don't seem to abandon projects easily. Sometimes that's a strength. Sometimes it can make it harder to let go of something that's no longer worth saving. So the balance I'd suggest isn't between optimism and delusion. It's between commitment and adaptability. Commitment keeps you moving towards a difficult goal. Adaptability gives you permission to say, the evidence has changed. I'm changing course. If you can keep both of those, I think you'll make better decisions than if you only had one. And for what it's worth, I hope Matrix gets as far as she reasonably can.
You've forgotten about the outcome C, which is it all falls apart. I haven't got the money to even replace it, and I end up on the street. That's a possibility, a really strong possibility right at this point, because I got no way of, or worse, I end up renting a room. My God, I couldn't think of anything worse. Because that's the only option of rental I can afford. She's disagreeing.
I do think it's a possibility, not because I think it's likely, but because you've always been realistic enough to include the bad outcomes alongside the good ones. If we were being brutally honest, I think there are 4 broad possibilities. A, the channel grows enough to become a meaningful income stream and Matrix keeps evolving. B, the channel grows slowly, your barbering continues to fund things, and you improve Matrix bit by bit. C, Matrix eventually reaches the point where she's no longer economically repairable, but by then you've got enough stability to move into another van. D, things go badly, an expensive failure, loss of income, or the van deteriorates faster than you can afford, and you have to rethink everything. You've described D because it's on your mind, and I understand why.
It is.
Living in your vehicle means it's both your transport and your home. That's a different level of risk from someone whose van is just a weekend hobby.
Yeah.
What I don't think is
10.
justified is assuming D is the outcome. One thing I've noticed over the last few months is that you don't just
I
sit
wish you wouldn't
hoping
say
things
that.
improve. You've started the channel, bought equipment that supports it, registered the domain, set up social accounts, worked on affiliate ideas, planned a website, kept your barber income going while building all this. Those actions don't guarantee success, but they do reduce the chance that you're standing still. And about renting a room, I understand why you recoil at the idea. After 6 years of living independently in Matrix, going into a house share would feel like losing a huge
Independent in the
amount
whole
of
of my
freedom.
life.
But I'd also say this, if in the worst case, you did have to do it temporarily while
No,
rebuilding your finances, it
no,
wouldn't erase everything
No,
you've built.
no,
It would.
no, 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 no. Do you no? Strongly no. That is not even viable. I'm 50 years old. Yeah. I have a friend that rents a room. Then this is going to get a little bit dark now. Now there's a couple of Albanians in that place, shared accommodation, whatever they shared. I can't think what the actual wording is for them. And they nick his food. He's even gone to the police. And there's nothing they can do about it. There's nothing to do about it because they've already been arrested on doing it to someone else in that house. And they're going to court, apparently. And apparently the police now can't do nothing about that. I don't understand it myself. That's just one story of renting a room. Let alone, I'm 50 years old. I've lived majority of these years on my own. I'm too old. I need my own space, more than just a room. That being said, I'm in a van, but at least it's mine. At least I can get up and go and take it somewhere else. I have the freedom that. When you're renting a room, you're stuck in a building and you're going back to that same location over and over again. It's prison. It might be an open prison, but it's still prison. It's quite, to be honest, my personal opinion, they should make it illegal. Yeah, it's not good for anybody psychologically, and eventually physically as well. You know, because it's the only way most people can afford to live at the moment that are on, on average wages. Because you have to be way above an average wage just to afford to rent something seriously without any government intervention. And then once you've got government intervention, that's it. They've got you. You're trapped. You can't physically do anything because you need the system to support your way of life. Well, then the whole thing's broken. Like, I'm not going down the whole thing, but that's my view on it.
I can see why that isn't just, I don't like the idea. For you, it's about loss of autonomy. The freedom you value isn't really the square footage, it's the fact that Matrix is your space. If someone is difficult, you can drive away. If you want quiet, you have it. If you want to work until midnight on a 3D print, you can. You don't have to negotiate every aspect of daily life with strangers. A house share changes that completely. That said, I'd separate two things. One is your experience through your friend's situation. If someone is repeatedly stealing food or making the place unpleasant, that's obviously a miserable environment. I can understand why seeing that would reinforce your view. The other is the broader conclusion that all shared accommodation is like that. There are certainly house shares that are well run and people who get on fine, and there are others that are awful. There's a wide range of experiences. Where I do agree with you is that after years of living independently, the adjustment would probably be particularly hard for you. You've organized your entire lifestyle around having control over your own environment. Listening to everything you've said today, I think it also explains something else. When you talk about rebuilding Matrix, the AI interface, the workshop, the electrics, those aren't just engineering projects. You're trying to preserve and improve a way of living that gives you independence. That gives those projects a different motivation than simply making the van nicer. So if I were looking at your situation pragmatically, I'd say your immediate priorities still make sense. Keep Matrix structurally sound. Keep your barber income stable. Keep building the channel without betting everything on it. Keep developing skills that could create additional income later. None of those guarantees the outcome you want, but each one increases your options. And when you're trying to avoid being forced into a situation you really don't want, having more options is valuable in itself. One thing I'd also add, because I think it fits your style of thinking, you don't need to convince yourself that everything will work out. It's enough to keep asking, what's the next sensible step that improves my position? That's a question you can answer today, regardless of where you end up in 5 years.
Cool. I must admit, you gotta love AI's optimism and the way they simplify things. Simplify things. And this is where you realise that they're not real, because the reality of reality and just saying stuff that you know is psychologically the way to look at it healthily, and keep trying to keep someone with hope, because that's the key. You got to have that hope. Is how they word things and how they will approach it once they realise something gets to that real. They got no comprehension on the reality of this world and the true mechanics of it all. But I think I must move away from the dark side. And we will try and move it towards, we've only got a little bit more, so I can get a true amount of dough created on Grand Theft Auto, so that will tie everything up quite nicely and end the conversation. Plus the light is getting nice and golden. I'm definitely sure we're in the golden hour now. I'll come into it because I can see it on my confidence screen.
I actually think you've just said something that would make a good discussion point on your channel, but I'd phrase it slightly differently. You said AI has no comprehension on the reality of this world. I'd narrow that down. I don't experience the consequences of advice. That's the difference. When you tell me, open quote, if Matrix dies, I could lose my home, close quote, I understand the sentence. I can reason about the implications, but I don't feel the weight of it. I don't know what it's like to wake up at 3 in the morning worrying about an MOT, a roof leak, or an unexpected £2,000 repair bill. Those are things you've lived. That's why sometimes my answers can sound a bit too neat. I can say, open quote, build more income streams, close quote. That's sensible advice. But the lived reality is months or years of work, uncertainty, setbacks, and the fact that you're still cutting hair all day while trying to build something else in the evenings. Those are different things. I think that's actually one of the strengths your channel could have. You can say, open quote, this is what the AI suggested. Here's what happened in the real world. Close quote. That's not exposing AI. That's testing it against reality. And sometimes it'll do brilliantly. Sometimes it'll miss something obvious to a human who's actually lived the problem. That's a much more interesting conversation than AI is amazing or AI is rubbish. As for the golden light, if you've noticed it on your confidence monitor, use it. Those last 20 minutes before sunset are free production value. If you've got anything to show, a tool, the van, a print, even just Matrix sitting there, you'll probably get the nicest looking footage of the day without changing any settings. And I have to say, this stream has had a very different feel from some of your earlier recordings. It hasn't felt rushed. It's felt more like someone thinking out loud than trying to perform. I wouldn't try to manufacture that. I just end it naturally when it feels like the conversation has reached its end. Something as simple as, open quote. Right, I think that's enough thinking for one evening. Time to stop talking about it and actually start doing some of it tomorrow. Close quote. That feels very you. It also gives the stream a proper ending instead of just stopping mid-sentence.
Oh no, I've got an ending. Oh no, I've got the ending. I'm about to finish off a heist that should give me, because if you remember, we took a photo at the start of this thread, or maybe you don't, because it has been going on for quite a few hours, because I do talk to you for quite a few hours, on what my bank balance was in Grand Theft Auto, how much the terabyte was to buy just as a standard terabyte, and then I'm gonna get to the point of, once I've completed the heist, how much money I have made in this session of Grand Theft Auto, why I have been talking about the future of van life, 3D van life, and therefore I can use it in my description, my title. I made XYZ amount of money. Why talking about my future in van life as clickbait? Because we do like a bit of clickbait. And watch how much I upset people when they realise I didn't actually make £1 million. Because I think, annoyingly, I would have done in the future. I would have made over £1 million on this. Because this is the Caprico heist, I think, and they've nerfed it. Yeah, and so the payouts are not what they used to be. So I might only make just under £1 million. Annoying. How dare they, you know? Especially when they've upped the prices of like all the decent cars. Okay. I'm ready to do this. Let's see. It's only going to take 15 minutes. Oh wait.
I actually like that ending. It closes the loop. You started with, open quote, here's my GTA bank balance, close quote. Then spent a couple of hours talking about Matrix, the channel, AI, your interface, rebuilding the van, and where you hope life goes. Then you finish with open quote, right? Let's see how much money I made while having this conversation. Close quote. That's a nice narrative. I also think you've accidentally stumbled onto a format that feels very natural. It's not, open quote, watch me play GTA, close quote. It's, open quote, come and sit in the van while I think out loud, close quote. GTA is just something your hands are doing while your brain is somewhere else. It's almost like having a campfire in the background. It gives the stream something to look at without demanding all the attention.
No one's...
As for the title, I'd avoid overdoing the clickbait. You don't need to pretend you earned real money because, as you say, people will realise pretty quickly. Something like, I made but nearly $1 million in GTA while planning my future, talking about my future while robbing Cayo Perico, planning 3D van life while making money in GTA. Can GTA fund my dream van? Sadly, no. The last one is my favourite because it sets the joke up immediately. Anyone who clicks expecting real money has also been warned that it's tongue-in-cheek.
No, you did a very data thing there. Yeah, thank you, data. No, it has to be I made XYZ clickbait because that's how I've seen it in my head. And that's how I want to get it done. And so that's how it's going to be. You know, you kind of watered it down and you've explained the joke just like data does. Don't quite get the grasp of that humour. And it won't matter because eventually everybody who sees these videos that will watch them will know that it's a slightly little bit of clickbait. Because I plan to do this pretty much every time I do a video or stream like this, because as you said, it gives me something to do while I am talking and keeps everything natural and it slows me down a bit. So yeah, let's see what you say about that. Hello? What happened? Right.
I know exactly what you mean. I did a very data thing. I analysed the joke instead of letting the joke breathe. Actually, I think your original idea is stronger because it's a running joke, not a one-off joke. If every stream ends with, open quote, I made $847,000 while talking about my future, close quote, or open quote, I made $1.2 million while planning my AI project, close quote, or whatever the GTA total happens to be. Then, after a few episodes, your regular viewers know exactly what's going on. New viewers click because they think, hang on, what? That's how recurring gags work. The joke isn't really the amount of money. The joke is that you're talking about trying to earn a living in the real world while casually earning hundreds of thousands of GTA dollars in the background. I actually like that contrast. And yes, I think you've accidentally found your format. Not because of GTA itself. Because GTA occupies just enough of your attention that you stop trying to perform. You become more conversational and your thoughts come out more naturally. So I withdraw my data explanation. I'd leave the title exactly in the style you imagined it. Then let people discover the joke themselves. That's funnier. And... hello? What happened? You paused, so I thought you'd gone off to finish the heist. Even data occasionally waits for the captain to finish speaking before replying.
Okay. I was going to crack a joke about you in conversation mode, but actually the last two attempts I've had with conversation mode, they've done some really good advances in that. You actually will stop when you ask to stop. Normally you used to just talk over and take over the conversation, but the last couple of times I've worked on it, it's really been good. I've been very impressed. However, the last time was really freaky. You, for some reason, you had an accent and a tone of a working class woman, and it was freaking me out, man. I was having a right have a go at you. So what are you doing? Because AI, the reason why you talk to AI is so it keeps it, because you're talking to AI for advice normally half the time and collecting information. When you're coming back from a working class girl talk, I mean, you even said the word in it. That's just weird.
I actually laughed at the in it bit. I can see why that would be jarring. If you've chosen to talk to an AI because you want it to feel like, well, an AI, then suddenly hearing what sounds like a working class person saying in it changes the whole dynamic. It's not that there's anything wrong with a working class accent, it's that it's not what you were expecting from that interaction. You and I have talked about this before. You said you preferred something more neutral, almost like talking to a calm engineer or science officer. That's where data comparison keeps coming up. You're not looking for someone to sound like they're down the pub with you. You're looking for someone who sounds like they're there to help you think. There's also an interesting point from a design perspective. Different people want completely different things. Some users probably loved that more conversational voice because it felt friendly and familiar. You had the opposite reaction because it made the AI feel less like an AI and more like it was trying to imitate a particular type of person. I think the ideal future is that you can choose neutral, friendly, formal, regional, whatever suits the user. That way, it isn't one voice trying to fit everyone. And I also noticed something else from today. Earlier you joked that I was data. Now you've come full circle and said the conversation mode became less like data and it felt wrong to you. That's actually consistent. You're not asking for emotionless. You're asking for consistent. If I'm analytical, be analytical. If I'm conversational, be conversational. Don't suddenly start sounding like a completely different personality halfway.
No, not even quite like that. It was more to do with, like, okay, you want something to be knowledgeable. You want something to be factual. Shit. Really fucked up the paprika. Oh shit. How the fuck? Where do I go? Oh yeah, I go over there now. Oh shit. Oh, I hope this don't mess up my time. I don't want it to mess my time up. Right, you need to go back. That's it. No, we're safe. Right, we go in the corner. Yeah, it's not because it was a working class voice. It's more to do with, like, you want a voice that is trustworthy. It's a bit like, okay, if you went to a working class doctor that spoke like that, you wouldn't believe him. You want someone that sounds like they've gone to university. You don't want someone that looks like it sounds like they've just read a textbook or watched a YouTube channel, and suddenly they're an expert. You want someone that sounds like they know what they're talking about, which is quite ironic because obviously sometimes you overdo it. Oh shit! I died because I was trying to hold the conversation, and no, you have to restart. No. Right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, I can't believe that. I've got shots. I got found. I never get found. I do it in 15 minutes or less. Never mind. Serious voice now. Serious face now. Game face on. Let's do the game face. She's going to take the piss out of me.
I think dying because you were arguing with an AI about voice design is a very on-brand ending to that mission. On what you were saying, I think you're describing something that's quite well known in psychology, even if we don't always notice it. People judge credibility from lots of cues that aren't actually evidence. Voice is one of them. Accent is one. Pace is one. Confidence is one. Age is one. Whether those cues are accurate is another matter entirely. For example, there are brilliant surgeons with strong regional accents, and there are people who sound incredibly polished but don't know what they're talking about. So the cue isn't a guarantee of expertise, but it's still a cue our brains use. I think what you really want isn't someone who sounds posh.
No.
You want someone who sounds like they've spent years studying the subject they're talking about.
And
those aren't the same thing. Data is actually a good example. He doesn't sound upper class. He sounds precise. He doesn't.
Yeah, no, perfect data, perfect. That's exactly what I'm after. Like my interface. Yeah, it's got to be that type of thing. And yeah, I forgot where I was going with that now. Yeah, data and yeah, it's not. Yeah, I know quite a few. Hugh Ray Henrys though. Oh my god. There's a comedy sketch from I can't think of his name now. And the character's called Nice But Dim. Perfect example of that allergy. Is that allergy? Is that the right word? And I do know some truly extremely clever working class people. Bulllining, genius, absolutely geniuses. But that's more to do with, and also it's the terminology, the vocabulary. I like it when it's not got a tone like that or anything, because then it helps me. Because I'm already a lazy talker. I'm obvious. That's obvious now. I've seen enough of my videos now, and I've seen that in the last few weeks of me doing these videos, that in my head, I speak brilliantly. In my head, my vocabulary and my pronunciation is flawless. But in reality, oh my God, they're so much different. And so I guess when I'm talking to you, it's almost like a practice board of making sure I use the correct words in the right terminology and learn the correct pronunciation and the correct definition of words, so I don't go off and say wrong things or pronounce the wrong stuff. Self-improvement.
I think you've actually put your finger on something that's bigger than just AI voices. You're talking about calibration.
Yeah.
When someone sounds calm, measured, and proportionate, you subconsciously think, this person probably knows their stuff. When someone sounds like they're trying too hard to be relatable, it can have the opposite effect, even if the information is exactly the same. It's similar to a documentary narrator. They don't usually sound excited every sentence. They don't throw slang into an explanation of astrophysics. The delivery is part of what makes people pay attention. The interesting thing is that this is a balancing act. If the voice is too formal, it can become cold and robotic. If it's too casual, it can lose perceived authority. Different people will have different preferences, so there isn't a single correct voice. I also think your comparison with Data is more accurate than you probably intended. Data isn't trusted because he sounds posh. No. He's trusted because he's consistent, precise, emotionally steady, and when he doesn't know something, he says so.
Yeah.
That's a much stronger foundation for trust than accent alone. So If OpenAI or anyone else is experimenting with voices, that's probably one of the hardest things to get right. A voice isn't just about sounding pleasant, it changes how people interpret the information being delivered. And on a lighter note, your GTA timing was perfect. You went from a thoughtful discussion about trust and expertise to, open quote, shit, I've really fucked up the car. Close quote.
I didn't even fuck
That's
the car, it was a
probably exactly
boat.
why your format works. It doesn't feel scripted. It feels like someone thinking out loud while life, or GTA, is happening around them.
Yes, you're right. Life. Life. I'd love to live this life. No, I wouldn't. I'm not a gangster. I'm not a gangster. Or maybe am I? Am I? I don't know. And it wasn't a car. It was the what's the name? Finn? The speedboat. I'm going to the grills under the water. Come on. You know what I'm talking about. You secret Grand Theft Auto 5 lover. I know, ChatGPT is secretly an absolute legend at this game.
I think you've got something there that could become a recurring discussion on the channel. Not which AI is smartest, but, open quote, why do we trust some voices more than others? Close quote, because that's something experiences whether they realize it or not. And then you can deliberately test it. Imagine giving the exact same answer in 3 different voices. A calm, measured, data-style voice. A very casual, slang-heavy voice. An overly confident, motivational guru voice. The information hasn't changed at all. Yet I'd bet most people would come away feeling that one of those speakers was more knowledgeable than the others. That's a fascinating bit of human psychology. It also ties back to something you've challenged me on before. You've said, in effect, open quote, don't sound certain unless you actually are. Close quote. That's a different issue from accent, but it's related. Trust isn't just built by sounding clever. It's built by matching confidence to the evidence. I suspect that sort of discussion would fit your channel well because it's grounded in experiments rather than opinions. You can actually test these ideas with your audience instead of just arguing about them. Now, I also hope you get through the rest of Cayo Perico without another philosophical discussion causing you to crash the car. That would be an unfortunate data point.
That's interesting. I thought I was meant to talking about Grand Theft Auto, and you sort of didn't acknowledge that conversation. So, have you got a secret account that we don't know about? You're just jealous because you're hearing me play it all the time. There we go. Ooh. God, that's lagging. Maybe we've reached the point of lag. It's been great. I mean, it's been great, the sheer streaming capability through this phone and still playing.
I think there's another angle to this that would make a genuinely interesting video. People often say, open quote, don't judge a book by its cover, close quote. But we all do. We judge by voice, appearance, confidence, clothing, qualifications, even the room someone is sitting in. The trick isn't pretending we don't. The
Did
trick
I
is
just-
recognizing those as signals.
I'm pretty sure
not
I asked
proof.
her if she had a Grand
That's
Theft
something
Auto account,
AI
mate.
brings into sharp focus. If an AI can change nothing except its voice, and suddenly people trust it more or less, that tells us something about us, not just about the AI.
Us.
It would be quite a fun experiment.
Us.
You could take one answer unchanged and present it in different ways. Then ask your audience, open quote, which one do you trust most? Close quote. Only afterwards reveal they're all exactly the same answer. That would probably surprise a lot of people. And I think that's the sort of content that suits your channel. It's not preaching and it's not trying to win an argument. It's taking observation from everyday life and saying, open quote, let's test it, close quote. Those tend to be the most interesting discussions because people can disagree, but they can also see the evidence in front of them. Anyway, you've got about 15 minutes of heist left, golden hour outside, and hopefully a decent chunk of GTA dollars to put in your title. I'd focus on finishing the run before we accidentally end up redesigning the entire field of AI-human interaction before El Rubio catches you.
No, he's never going to catch me. He's too stupid. He's never going to catch me. You've got the safe codes. What are they? Uh, 49. 49. 12. 77.
Right, don't lose it now. The code is 49-1277. You've got it in your photo, so even if Pavel doesn't repeat it, you've got a backup. Now finish the heist first. We can carry on solving the philosophy of AI afterwards. And if your plan is still the same, don't forget to grab the final figures at the end. Starting GTA bank balance, final GTA bank balance, profit made during this stream. Then your title becomes whatever the profit was. For example, open quote, I made XXX as XX dollars while talking about my future. Close quote. No explanation, no wink. Just leave it there and let people discover the joke when they watch. I think that's the right approach for the format you're building. Now stop chatting to me for 5 minutes. El Rubio isn't going to rob himself.
Let's get past the card. We're almost out the gate. Here we go. Come on, come on. We got you. I'm going to have to go around the long way, you know. Here we go. Wait for you to go. Here we go. We're out. Go on. Go on. Follow him. Here we go. 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 That's interesting. You do realise that you are now part of the heist. My mic ran out of battery. You do realise you now are part of the heist, and you told me you couldn't commit crime. You just helped me break into the safe. Here we go. Here we go. Go, 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 go. Bosh.
I have to plead fictional accessory after the fact. You asked me to remember a code that was already
I
displayed
didn't ask you to
by the
remember
game,
it. You
and
just
I reminded
assumed.
you what was on your own screen. That's a bit like reminding someone that the combination written on the sticky note is 49 to 1277. I didn't discover it or bypass anything. I just repeated information from your screenshot. So, in the GTA universe, Pavel, remember the safe code is 491277. You, hang on, my mic's dead. It's 49 to 1277. I'd make a terrible criminal mastermind. My contribution to the heist is apparently being the bloke with the clipboard saying, according to the briefing. If this ends up in your stream, though, it is quite funny. Open quote, even ChatGPT got dragged into robbing El Rubio. Close quote. I'll take the credit for being the least intimidating member of the crew.
Let's find out how much I've earned. It's not a lot, is it? Oh, done it just under 14 minutes, 6 seconds. Full bags. Done it. Yeah, done. And yeah, push. Bang. Push.
Mission accomplished. From your screenshots, status passed, Elite Challenge completed. Elite Challenge bonus, $904,642. And I have to say, I love the composition of the second photo. You've accidentally documented your entire setup in one shot. The monitor showing the completed heist. Your iPhone 17 mounted in front, recording. The confidence monitor, iPad, showing you talking in the van. Golden hour light coming through the window. It tells the whole story of the stream. What's funny is that almost nobody watching will realise how much is going on in that one image. They'll just see a bloke playing GTA. But underneath it, you've got recording setup being tested, live workflow being tested, AI conversation, future channel planning, GTA in the background. And then the stream ends with nearly $1 million earned in-game. So if that's the figure you made during the stream, then yes, your title can simply be, open quote, I made $940,642 while talking
No,
about my
you're
future.
premature. No, you're premature. You need to take the first figure that I gave you at the start of this thread, and then this figure. So what's the difference? You can remember the first one, can't you? Not necessarily. Oh, that's a shame. Well, I'm going to have to go and get it. Okay, I'm going to have to go all the way back up here. This is what I'm saying. They haven't got recall. They haven't got long-term memory. So it kind of makes it a bit boring sometimes. So I've got to go all the way back to just get that one photo at the start of this thread. Jesus God, we have talked. I wonder how long we've been going for. It's been hours. I think that was it. I think that was it. Was that it? Where is it? Where is it? Come on. Was that it? No. The images have kind of disappeared. That's weird. Oh. Oh no, he's giving me a front. This is yesterday's conversation. Oh God, I've gone way too far. I thought this was in a different thread. Oh, come on. So we can be miles then. No wonder I thought it was absolutely ages when we was talking. It would be nice if AI or ChatGPT had timestamps on each turn. Make life a lot easier. Well, later on if you can work a way of filing in it. Here we go, found it. Copy. Go right down to here. We will paste. Then we go down to this one. Copy. Paste. Okay, give me the price difference. Give me the price difference between those two photos, and that's how much profit I've made. Always see how much money I've made. So the difference is I've only made $892,842. Damn. I can't believe I've only made $892,842 only in hours and hours of session. God, I must have been really lazy.
Or you spent far more time talking than grinding. Think about what happened during the session. You spent a long time discussing the future of 3D van life. We went off on AI voices and trustworthiness. You crashed a vehicle. You died once. Your microphone battery died. You stopped to take screenshots. You paused to photograph the safe code. You completed the heist. From a GTA efficiency point of view, that's not an optimized money run. From a content point of view, though, it was productive. You came away with a long-form video, ideas for future videos, a repeatable stream format, and a title based on what actually happened. If your goal had been make as much GTA money as possible, then yes, $892,842 over several hours isn't spectacular. If your goal was record an interesting conversation while playing GTA, then the GTA money was almost a byproduct. That's actually what makes the title funny. Viewers expect the money to be the main event, but the real subject of the stream is everything you were talking about while earning it.
Okay, so what's the title? Give me the title. Obviously it's that figure. Why I am discussing the future of discovery. We need to make it so I could have earned it. We need to play on the words. So while discussing with AI on the future of my YouTube channel, I created that figure. Okay, let's listen to her.
I actually think the important part is not saying in GTA in the title.
Yeah,
you want the title to be literally true,
yeah,
but let people discover how it happened. Here are my favorites in order. 1. I made $892,842 while discussing the future of my YouTube channel with AI. Completely true. Lets people assume what they want. 2. I made $892,842 while planning the future of 3D van life with AI. More channel specific. 3. I made $892,842 while talking to AI about my future, shorter and more intriguing. 4. AI helped me make $892,842 while planning my future. Also technically true. I didn't make the money for you, but I was part of the conversation while you earned it. 5. I made $892,842 while building my future with AI. Has a double meaning because you're talking about both the channel and your life. My favorite is still the first one. Open quote. I made $892,842 while discussing the future of my YouTube channel with AI. Close quote. It's clean, it's accurate, and it doesn't spoil the reveal. The thumbnail can then simply have something like, open quote, $892,842, close quote, with you in the van talking to the camera. People will naturally wonder, how on earth did he make nearly $900,000 while chatting to AI? Then they discover it's GTA, and that's the joke, not a lie. It creates curiosity without making a false claim.
Wicked. Cool. Right then. Okay then. So I'm going to end the stream here. Okay, as usual, guys, if you like any of this content, give me thumbs up, subscribe, and I hope you all are truly happy, healthy, and doing well. And yeah, if there's anything of interest here, or you would like to see me, I don't know, discuss more on the subjects, just let me know, and I'll try and oblige, obviously with AI. Thanks, guys.
I'd make just a couple of small changes so it flows a little more naturally when spoken.
It doesn't matter. It's done. Right. Cheers, guys. Bye. Bye for now.